Hello, Catherine. How are you? Tell Brian Wayne that without him here, the casinos have not been nearly as exciting as they were in Sarajevo. However, they have been much more successful without that little twerp constantly chattering away, blithering like the idiot that he is, getting the pit bosses outraged so that they would not accept a decent wager. Well, hold it. I got to do it on another mic. Yes. Air Canada flights arriving in Scotland this past week have been busier than usual, and the majority of passengers disembarking at Prestwick and traveling to Glasgow are here for one reason. They're curling fans, 2,300 just from Canada, visiting this birthplace of the roaring game for the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom, the symbol of world curling supremacy. For many, it's also a return to the land of their ancestors, where some sights are familiar. And there are also a few visions that would cause their forefathers to choke on their haggis. But for all visitors to Glasgow, whether from North America or Europe, they have been made to feel most welcome. The city of Glasgow has welcomed... Air Canada flights arriving in Scotland this past week have been busier than usual, and the majority of passengers disembarking at Prestwick and traveling to Glasgow are here for one reason. They're curling fans, 2,300 just from Canada, visiting this birthplace of the roaring game for the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom, the symbol of world curling supremacy. For many, it's also a return to the land of their ancestors, where some sights are familiar. And there are also a few visions that would cause their forefathers to choke on their haggis. But all visitors to Glasgow, whether from North America or Europe, have been made to feel most welcome. Visitors and curlers have been welcomed with open arms to Glasgow as they have converged on Kalvin Hall, the site of this year's World Curling Championship.
are with the puck, Jack.
1, 2, 1, 2. This is the handheld RE50.
Well, I see I was sitting on his back.
You don't have a mic, Huey. Relax, relax.
Jeez.
One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can I what? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, everybody. This is Doug Dougal's older brother. For the benefit of Brian Wayne, who is sitting back there in the studio trying to figure out what this sport is all about, there is no pari-mutual wagering, which will come as a great shock. However, there is an opportunity for those of you who are so inclined to venture to Ladbrokes Betting House and make a wee bit of a wager on the Grand National, such as my friend Doug Dougal and I happen to do today. Our horse, West Tip, was leading the bloomin' thing until the 7th last barrier, and then he went down. We would have won enough money to pay for all the cheese that Ernie Chilcott has been devouring this week.
I doubt that very much. It would have to be a 50-to-1 shot. You haven't told me what we're doing here yet.
Well, we're doing a little thing off the top. Tim Wright of the United States.
Oh, yeah. How do we go? Oh, aren't we doing the split screen?
Well, we're doing the this afternoon in the first semifinal. Stefan Hasselberg. Oh, Jesus Christ, Huey. Worry about something important, Huey, about getting the show in the air. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman with two-time world champion Don Duguid.
Okay.
And as late as yesterday afternoon,
Sit over here like this.
and at the conclusion of round robin play, 7 teams still had a chance to win this 1985 Silver Broom. 3 of them were involved in a playoff with a 4th and final. No, 6 teams. 6 teams still had a shot.
No. 3 teams were in the extra playoff to get in the last playoff spot. There were 6 teams altogether.
Yeah.
First, second, third. First being Denmark, second being U.S., third being Canada.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman, along with two-time world champion Don Duguid at the Kalvin Hall in Glasgow. At the completion of round-robin play, 6 teams still had a chance at winning this 1985 World Championship. 3 of them were involved in a playoff to determine the 4th position in the overall standings. Scotland defeated Norway and then played Sweden, but alas for the Scots, they came up empty, and Sweden captured the final playoff position. Sweden went against Denmark, the team that finished atop the standings this afternoon in the semifinal, and the Swedes, skipped by Stefan Hasselberg, came up the winner 4 4-2. Hasselberg with a key draw to the 8-foot on the 8th end as he was facing 2 Danish stones. 4-2, the final score. And now will Hasselberg face Tim Wright of the United States or Al Hackner of Canada in tomorrow's championship game? We've got that action coming your way. And Don Duguid, yesterday in the final game and round-robin play, the Americans were winners.
Well, they were winners because they played very consistently. I think Al Hackner made a very bad mistake in the 6th end. He rolled an in-turn hit where he had a chance before. I don't think you're going to see Al Hackner make that same mistake twice.
The 3 visuals back to back. Eh?
I know.
Okay, you never got the yesterday, the last walk in the 6th stand. Yesterday's game.
Oh, in the
U.S.-Canada game.
Yes.
Right.
You on camera and the 3 visuals, right?
we've got Hasselberg winning, and the 2 guys.
Split screen, and then yesterday's 6th
Seven-
stand.
yeah.
Okay?
Right.
What was the final score? It's okay. It's okay. Fuck off. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman, along with 2-time world champion Don Duguid, speaking to you from the Kalvin Hall in Glasgow. At the completion of round-robin play, 6 of the 10 teams still had a shot at this 1985 championship. 3 of them were involved in a tiebreaker. Scotland defeated Norway, but then, alas for the Scots, they were beaten by Sweden in the other tiebreaker game. Sweden, skipped by Stefan Hasselberg, this afternoon faced Denmark, the team that surprisingly led the round-robin standings in one semifinal battle. On the 8th end and leading 3-2, a key draw by Hasselberg with the final stone against 2 Danish counters. He went on to a 4-2 victory. So Hasselberg tonight will find out who his opponent will be in the championship. Either Tim Wright of the United States on the left or Canadian champion Al Hackner. Hackner and the United States rank skipped by Wright met on the final draw of round-robin play yesterday morning, and the Americans came up the winners. A key shot, this one on the 6th end by Hackner. He had a chance for 4, but was able to pick up just 2, and Canada lost to the United States on that final draw. Don Duguid, can Canada bounce back with a victory in this semifinal game?
Well, it's very difficult to beat Al Hackner twice, but you know, Don, he's been struggling all week. I think the turning point for Hackner was when he beat Norway in the round robin. I think that's the best I've seen them play since the Canadian Championship. So for Wright, he's got a tough job. It's very difficult beating Al Hackner twice in a row.
Well, Al Hackner will certainly have a lot of support. As we've mentioned, some 2,300 spectators here in the Kalvin Hall from Canada. Canada and the United States in the semifinal of the Air Canada Silver Broom here in Glasgow. And we've got all the action coming your way on CBC Sports Weekend. What's the final score in that?
Flood it out. Flood it out. Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. Just sit that. Okay.
Yes.
And once we go to
Yeah.
the visuals,
Move in.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that was good. At the end of the whip, just let it hang. It was going directly alive. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay, okay.
Good, good.
Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman, along with two-time world champion Don Duguid, here at Kalvin Hall in Glasgow, the site of this year's World Curling Championship. And at the completion of round-robin play, 6 of the 10 nations still had a chance at winning the World Championship. 3 of them were involved in a playoff for 4th place. In the first game, Scotland defeated Norway. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman with two-time world champion Don Duguid, speaking to you from Kalvin Hall in Glasgow. At the completion of round-robin play, 6 of the 10 nations competing still had a chance at winning the 1985 World Championship. 3 of them were involved in a playoff for the 4th and final playoff position. And it was Scotland against Norway. And the Scots defeated the former world champion in their tiebreaker game. Let me start again. I'm getting all screwed up here. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman, along with two-time world champion Don Duguid, speaking to you from Kalvin Hall in Glasgow. At the completion of round-robin play, 6 of the 10 nations still had a chance to win this 1985 World Championship. 3 of them were involved in a playoff to determine the 4th position going into the semifinals. Scotland defeated Norway in the first game, but alas for the Scots, they bowed to Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden in the second. So Hasselberg led his Swedish crew into the semifinal against a surprising Danish rink that had topped the round-robin standings with a record of 6-3. But Hasselberg, curling very well in the semifinal, upset the Danes by a score of 4-2. This was a key shot on the 8th end when he drew to the 8-foot, facing 2 Danish stones. So for Hasselberg, he'll learn tonight whether his opponent in the championship will be either Tim Wright of the United States on the left or Canadian champion Al Hackner of Thunder Bay. The 2 countries finished with identical records of 6 wins and 3 losses in round-robin play. Their final meeting in round-robin play, a victory for the United States, as Hackner, with this shot on the 6th end, had a great opportunity for 4, but was able to get just 2, and he dropped a 7-4 decision. So Canada and the United States go at it again tonight, Don Duguid. Can Al Hackner bounce back from that final round loss to the United States?
Well, I think he can. You know, it's very difficult to beat a team of Hackner's caliber twice in a row. But Hackner was having trouble all week, and I think really the turning point in the whole competition so far was against Norway. He played very well and played strong. So I think for Wright, if he's going to win, he's going to have to curl exceptionally well to beat Hackner.
Well, it's Canada, skipped by Al Hackner, and the United States, skipped by Tim Wright, in this semifinal battle in the World Curling Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just been listening to the music of the Southside Brass under their conductor, Mr. William Gilchrist. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the pipers from the Knightswood Juvenile Pipe Band as they usher in Canada and the United States in the second semi-final for the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom.
deafening. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How's that? Is that okay? Doogie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep. Thank you. Could I get just a tea with some milk in it? Here. It's okay. Just pour me a tea there, Barb, with some milk in it, will you? Huey, what time are we on?
How do you pronounce that name? Jahunt?
J-Hunt.
J-Hunt?
Thank you, Barbara. Doogie, there you are.
Thank you.
Oh.
No.
J-Hunt.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Canadian team, Skip Al Hackner. Third, Rick Lang. Second, Ian Tetley. And lead, Pat Peru.
I won't knock this over on you.
And now the team from the United States, Skip Tim Wright. Third, John Jahant. Second, Jim Wilson. And lead, Russ Armstrong. Just before we commence this evening's play, one or two reminders, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow afternoon, just prior to the final, we have a fiddler's rally here in the arena of the Kalvin Hall. This is a festival of Scottish country music featuring a massed orchestra of fiddlers and accordionists. Full details and tickets are available from the foyer. We'd also like to bring to your attention the fact that the trade stands close this evening at 9 p.m. They will not be open tomorrow. That's the trade stands closing tonight at 9 p.m. A small error has appeared.
You've never seen stands like that at any curling event, have you?
The what?
It says
No.
on the hogliner that the clocks go backwards, when in actual fact tonight the clocks go forward for British summertime. So tonight the clocks go forward by 1 hour and not backwards as suggested in the hogliner. Would you please refrain from using flashbulbs when taking photographs, and also please remember there's no smoking in the arena. Now, gentlemen, the ice awaits you. The officials are ready. Good curling.
Hey, what picture?
5, we got this.
Well, the majority of support, as I'm sure you'll see during the course of this semifinal telecast from Glasgow, will be favoring Al Hackner and his Canadian champions. A lot of spectators from Thunder Bay, but during the week, we've encountered people from all parts of the country. Some over here just for the curling, others taking in the curling and traveling throughout the United Kingdom, as well as visiting various parts of Europe. And they've all been royally entertained here in Glasgow. The organizing committee has done an excellent job of staging this 1985 championship. They had hopes yesterday, Don Duguid, that Scotland might be playing in this semi-final game. But alas, for Billy Howard and his Scotch champions, they did not win their most important game last night against Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden.
Well, you know, he in the playoff system, he beat who I thought was going to be a main contender, and that was Christian Sorman. I thought he'd go on to win, but this team from Sweden is playing very well, Don, and it was no disgrace for young Howe to lose to him. They did play very well. They're a very young team, so they're going to be back.
Well, a reflection of just how difficult it has been here this week is obvious on the scoreboard. Denmark, the United States, and Canada, all with records of 6 wins, 3 losses. Sweden at 5-4. Scotland and Norway also at 5-4. Italy, Switzerland, and Germany, 4 wins and 5 losses. And England competing in the Silver Broom for the first time, 0-9. But the rink from England threw quite a scare into a number of opponents before finally going down to defeat.
And you'll notice the way Tim Wright holds the broom for his team down at the other end. He reverses it, has the handle down on the ice, and that reminds you, of course, of Bobby Nichols of the United States, who's former world championship. And they do exactly the same thing here.
The United States won the toss for this semifinal game. And I'm sure there are still curling fans back in Canada talking about the performance of this young man, the Canadian lead, Pat Perreault, who curled a perfect 100% in that championship game, the extra-end triumph over Pat Ryan of Edmonton in this year's Brier in Moncton, New Brunswick. Perreault's delivery slides into the top of the 12. Canada lies 1.
You know, in the round-robin game between these two teams, Don, the United States really never gave Canada much of a chance to score any kind of points at all. They got off to a 4-1 lead. The only chance Hackner had was in the 6th end, and it was a fairly simple, when I say simple, wide-open hit for 4. And we talked to Al Hackner before the game, and he said, Donnie, he said, did you see me throw it? And I said, I was standing right behind you, Al, and you rolled it. And he says, that's right. And I think that's maybe one of the worst shots he's ever thrown in his life.
Russ Armstrong, the United States lead, removes the Canadian stone. Al Hackner also said, did you ever turn one in when you were curling competitively?
Well, I never used to turn him in too much down the center. I used to turn him in a little bit over in the edge of the sheet where, you know, you're in a little tougher ice and you have a tendency to hang on to it a little bit too long and more tendency to roll it in. I used to do it the odd time.
Ian Tetley, the son of former Canadian champion Bill Tetley, throwing second stone for the Canadian team. It has to bend, and it will as it comes in across that hog line. He'll corner that U.S. rock, and the shooter, delivered by Tetley, rolls out of the ring.
Son, for our viewers, playing the odd end away from the home end, the out turn on the outside of center line runs very, very straight on the right-hand side of the sheet. You take on the edge of that 4-foot, that rock will not curl. Coming towards the home end, the in turn on the left-hand side will not curl. So it runs very straight. So in theory, the ice is just tilted that way just a bit. It'll curl a little bit more with the in turn going in towards center, where Tim Wright is holding the broom now. Although they're playing the out turn to the corner of the sheet, it'll curl. It curls on the edges.
Jim Wilson, the U.S. second, with his first delivery of this opening end. Tim Wright, the skip, calling them off.
That's where it'll curl, in that area there. So you can this makes for an exciting game because, number one, you can bury rocks on the corner, and when you have the advantage of last rock and you're playing corner guards, you can get 2 or 3 in behind it. So ice conditions are conducive to a very aggressive game.
There was definitely some concern about ice conditions on the second day when it became very warm here in Kalvin Hall, and the ice was very soft. As a matter of fact, some curlers were having difficulty even with their high hard one getting it across the hog line. But Ian Tetley had no problem with that takeout on the American stone. He replaces the U.S. rock. Canada lies 1.
Well, in talking to Don Lewis before the game, he said, you know, it's raining here in Glasgow and creates a lot of humidity in the building with all the people, and you get a frost buildup. And maybe for our viewers, when we get a long angle shot, you'll see a few markings on the ice. That's just the players sweeping and walking up and down the ice. You'll see frost marks on it.
Well, we've had a tremendous amount of rain over the past couple of days.
Hooray! Whoa.
Don, just for our viewers, I explained, ice is tilted. If it runs straight on the out turn going away from home and in turn coming back, it means that it's very straight on one turn and curls on the other, which means there's a slight angle to the ice. So it runs straight on one side and curls on the other.
Rick Lang, the Canadian third on this first end, as they've kept things rather clean so far. I mentioned the weather and the rain. We had snow yesterday in Glasgow. We actually have had quite a mixed bag as far as weather is concerned throughout the week. Beautiful sunny days early in the week. Some people took advantage of the many famous golf courses in this area to head out to the links and hit the golf ball. Al Hackner and Rick Lang had visions of visiting historic St. Andrews yesterday after the completion of the final draw, but it was snowing, and thus they were prevented from teeing it up at St. Andrews.
Do you want to tell them about your one hit on the second hole? You're dying to tell them, aren't you?
Just a beauty, a thing of beauty. And the United States, John Jahan just corners that Canadian stone. The shooter also rolls out. This team out of the Wilmette, Illinois Curling Club. The Canadian champions from the Fort William Curling Club in Thunder Bay. And the winner will face Stefan Hasselborg of Sweden for the 1985 championship tomorrow.
And really contrasting styles in the deliveries of the two teams, Don. The American team throw from a tuck delivery or a toe delivery like Rick Lang does. The other 3 members of the Canadian team are all flat-footed. So it's a contrast in style. When you watch the Americans throw, they're up on their toe all the time. And the one thing I noticed about the team is that they do not get directly in behind the rock. Like you'll watch John Jahan throw here. You see where he is? He's sliding one way and the rock is out on the other side of him. And that's kind of a different perspective of releasing the rock. They do not get directly in behind the rock, say like Al Hackner or Rick Lang does.
Well, Jay Hunt removes the Canadian stone, and he's able to save his shooter, so the U.S. now lies 1. The Americans won the toss. They will have last rock on this opening end. For those who may not be familiar with the story of Kalvin Hall and preparing it for this World Championship, 50 tons of sand, 12 miles of piping were laid onto the cement surface here in Kalvin Hall, a refrigeration system installed, and 5,000 seats built, all in the period of 10 days to get this building ready. There was a large trade show in Kalvin Hall just prior to the preparations for the World Curling Championship. However, the success they have had in installing ice in this trade building, I think, might open up a number of areas for the Silver Broom, the World Curling Championship in the future, places that have been prevented from holding the event because they do not have an ice rink capable of accommodating enough spectators.
Exactly. They can go into a convention center of some sorts, you know, throw in the seats and the ice, and they can have figure skating shows, curling. They can bid for big events such as the Silver Broom. So this opens up, as you said, Don, a whole new era for curling and for ice sports. And you always like to get the first rock away, and for Al Hackner, an in-turn hit, makes a nice hit and roll. So, and there you see the picture of the American. You see where he's sliding, Don? He's over the inside of center and throwing the outside, like he's not directly in behind the rock. He's what we call shooting off your shoulder, but let me tell you, he does it very well. He just simply hits and rolls over to the corner of the 12-footer. Is it going to stay in? Oh, close.
And from our overhead camera, it would appear that that rock is out of the rings.
Yes, it is. It's just out of the ring, just by a fraction.
You may have also heard Al Hackner saying to Rick Lang, hurry, hurry, try and sweep that one out of there, as it was rolling to the outside of that 12-foot circle, and Lang succeeded.
And being the experienced skip that Al Hackner is, that's where he's going to draw, over in that area. And if he stops in the top of the 12-foot, there's a chance the Americans might corner it onto that one that is out of the circles, but near the dividers.
Hackner was telling me prior to tonight's game that he felt pretty good about his play over the final few draws, but he was certainly not pleased with the way he curled early in the week. He was very inconsistent.
Well, you know, I think the turning point for the Canadian team in the round robin was against Norway. And they are working this one. He is going to be close to getting into the rings. Is he going to make it? Just nicely. Good spot. Now that's the Iceman that we know. First a hit, makes a good hit and roll. Now a draw to the corner of the rock. Good shot. And, you know, as I was saying about the game against Norway, the first 6 ends, he was down 3-1. But the last 4 ends, and here you see the replay coming into the circles, the last 4 ends of that game, the team played flawless. And I think that was a turning point for them. They really started to play well. But the first 3 or 4 games, they were very touchy. They were not consistent.
They had to make a big comeback against Switzerland early in the week. And as you said, that game against Norway, a very key game for the Canadian champions.
Well, you know what, Don, Hackner's played 22 games and he's lost 7. That's quite a few losses for that many games.
You're talking about his record during the Brier and
Right.
here in the World Championship.
A big shot for Wright, trying to hit it on the inside and roll away and blank the end and keep the advantage of last rock. He is on the outside of it. Now it's starting to move. He's going to drive it onto his own at the side. And are they both? Rick Lang sweeping the American rock out. No, and the one hangs on the back, and Canada steals one.
So on N1, it's a steal of 1 for Canada. And in this semifinal, Canada goes ahead of the U.S. 1-0. The University of Glasgow. A spot that many of the visitors to Glasgow from various parts of Canada and Europe have visited during the space of this week. In two here in this semifinal battle. In the 9th round, the United States drew first blood en route to that 7-4 triumph over Canada. The USA scoring 2 on the very first end in that 9th round game. Lead Russ Armstrong, removing the Canadian stone. The U.S. now lies 1.
And that rock in the very first end for Tim Wright never curled very much at the end, Donnie, but he had a lot of weight on it. And this is very tricky ice, and if you're going to throw any kind of weight, you got to tighten up the broom because it runs very, very straight when you throw big weight at it. So I think the team that's going to win this silver broom is going to have to learn to control their weight and just play the nice, quiet takeout weight all the time.
Well, that's exactly what Pat Perot did with his second stone of this second end. 22-year-old Canadian lead, curling very well here in this semifinal game, as he did in Moncton, New Brunswick during the Brier.
And interesting, the Canadian team playing inside, out, and the American team playing from the outside in. Whoa.
Russ Armstrong now making the shot, getting a bit of a roll, and the U.S. lies 1. And Russ Armstrong was telling us that your brother Jerry gave him his first curling lesson down in Chicago.
Yes, and I think brother Jerry is in Winnipeg right now watching this game. Jerry and the boys, of course, all made sure that we said hello to you, and they're going to play hard, they said. So we hope you're enjoying your visit in Winnipeg and watching the boys do their best to win this World Championship.
Ian Tetley appears to have good line. He'll get a nose hit. And Canada now lies 1. Ian had some problems after the Brier in Moncton, and he had stretched ligaments that were causing him some difficulty. He had to have some physiotherapy on that knee before coming to Glasgow and the silver broom. The oldest competitor out here is U.S. second Jim Wilson. He's 38 years of age, and he is going to remove the Canadian stone and get a bit of a roll over into the 8-foot. The U.S. now lies 1.
Well, you know, this was kind of confrontation here between Jim Wilson and Russell Armstrong of the United States and Ian Tetley, Pat Perot, because these two young fellas on the Canadian team play very well. And if the United States is going to win, these two fellas on the front end of the United States are going to have to outcurl that Canadian front end because they set everything up for Al Hackner and Rick Lang. They play flawless, Don. They make some great shots. When they need a rock in front of the house, they do it. When they need a hit and roll, they're always in the game. Tremendous competitors.
That rock seemed to drift out just a bit on Ian Tetley, but he's still got a corner of the U.S. stone, and the house is clear.
That's the side we were talking about. In turn coming home, it runs very, very straight. As a matter of fact, falls back. Does very little curling on that side. So Don, on the in-turn side going down, it's a little bit higher than on the right-hand side. It's a little bit lower on the right-hand side, and that's where you get the ice running straight or falling back.
Jim Wilson with his second stone of this second end. And will it get to the rings, or will it come up short?
Well, he's going to be close, just a little bit short, but that rock will be used later on the end. I think it's too close for Al Hackner to leave it there. I think he's going to have to run it off.
Hackner stole 1 in the opening end, and Canada leads the U.S. by a score of 1-0.
Don, you watch both skips do a lot of house cleaning here. They keep brushing the ice. You know, there's a little bit of a frost buildup, as we said earlier, and they're just going to keep everything clean, and they do a lot of house cleaning.
Rick Lang playing the in turn. They're going to have to go in this one to get a roll into the rings.
He's going to catch it on the outside or actually get a nose hit. So just one stone in play. That's the Canadian rock, just delivered by Rick Lang. And now, will Tim Wright try and go in behind? Yes, that's the decision he makes.
That's exact, and that's a good call. Second in, the Ablast rock. They're one down. The rock just protecting the edge of the 12-foot, and Wright feels he has enough room, and it should curl in that area. It's just a question of weight. And they haven't laid a brush to it all the way down the ice. Now it's got to start digging in. He's got a lot of weight. He's going right through the back and through the rings.
So now, will Al Hackner perhaps opt to go in behind that stone with Rick Lang's second delivery of this end?
Well, Al Hackner knows that's where Wright wants to play, so he's going to ask Rick Lang to hit it and roll into the center, Don. That's potentially a dangerous rock for him. That's why he's playing his own rock off. The United States are trying to draw around that one. Potentially that's dangerous for him, so they're going to take it off. The bonus shot here would be a roll in towards the center.
He gets a bit of a roll, and not enough to get it onto the rings.
And that rock is over just about 3 or 4 more inches. It'll be interesting and very close to the ring, so it'll be interesting to see whether Tim Wright goes around it again or plays it off. And he's going around it. I like his style. A lot of ice. You see how much ice? Foot over center. So that's where it'll curl. But if he gets a little bit wide here, Don, it's liable to run straight on him. There you see John Jahan letting it go. Just a question of weight. He was heavy with his first one. It looks like he's a little bit strong this time. Now it's starting to dig in. He is well by the guard, but he may be through the house again. Hackner at the tee line. Is it going to stop? And I think it's just through. It's very close. Hackner and Lang looking at it. Very close.
Well, you know, we talked earlier about Hans Guffler and his Danish rink being the surprise of this year's Silver Broom. They led the round-robin standings with a record of 6-3. I think this Tim Wright rink from the United States was also something of a surprise.
Well, you know, they at the beginning of the week, everybody didn't give much of a chance, you know. But they played very well. They hung in there. And they're deserving to be here, I'll tell you that.
Well, as we said, spectators from all over Canada. And you see the signs and the banners that some of them are holding up. Leaf Rapids, Manitoba has a rather large contingent of curling fans here. Many of the fans from Manitoba got caught up in the 1978 Silver Broom when it was held in Winnipeg. And some of those folks who attended that Silver Broom have been at every one since.
And Hackner taking the same ice that Tim Wright gave his third man, so Al's a little bit quieter. He may curl in behind the guard. They yelled right away, come on.
Wow.
Here Rick Lang yelling, whoa, right off, right off. They got to worry about it curling now.
Where is it? Oh,
You hear the front end yelling, where is it?
Don't touch, don't touch.
Beautiful shot by Al Hackner as he slips in behind that Canadian stone just off the rings.
Well, you know, look at the experience here. Rick Lang, the front end, Ian Tetley and Pat Perot wanted to sweep it a little bit further. Look at Pat Perot. He's going to start sweeping. And Lang yelled, right off, leave it in front of the tee line. And that's a good play. Show him half a rock, but don't take the rock behind the tee line. That's experience.
Very.
And there you see. And they're not quite sure how much weight they're going to play. They're going to have a little conference here. Tim Wright and John Jahan.
Push her back a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. Broom out here. Right here. Yeah.
Well, they're just going to tap that stone back.
Just tap it back. Maybe about 3 or 4 inches and put an angle on it. You know, if they can get their rock angled in such a position where that if Al Hackner has to hit it, he may drive it onto it, and that's what they want. No, Don, talking to the team before the game, they are very loose. You know, and they seem so compatible, and that's an important ingredient in a curling team.
Well, this year, this United States rink has played some 75 games, and in the U.S. Nationals, they had a 9-2 record. The U.S. Championships held in Milwaukee.
Three.
And they are working this one. I think Tim Wright's going to be a little bit short. Now it's starting to come over. Has he got enough weight to get shot rocked? He has shot rocked, but it never pulled very far for him. Far enough over, Don.
I'm not quite sure whether he has shot rock, Don.
He's very close. You'll see them. They're working. They want to get it in for shot rock. Wilson and Armstrong brushing it.
I think as we look at it from overhead, he may just be a touch shy of being shot.
Exactly. Canada is lying one. But too dangerous a rock to leave there for Canada, so they're going to hit it. And that's a good shot, Don. If they hit and just sit right there, they're going to force United States to take a cold draw, wide in turn. Of course, for Al Hackner, he certainly doesn't want to touch it on the outside and drive it over onto his own.
He'll be attempting to push that yellow-handled stone cleanly past the red rock, sitting fully in the 8-foot circle. The Iceman trying to win his second world championship. He's been a dominant figure in Canadian curling in the 80s.
Right up.
Twice now he has won the championship. Twice he has been runner-up. And it's curling such as this that has enabled him to win 2 Canadian titles.
A perfectly executed shot by Al Hackner, Don. He hit it a little bit on the inside, rolled over, and now he's forced the United States to play a cold in-turn draw. And here you see it. Look at the front end doing a good job. Look at the little bit of a roll he gets. Just enough to cover off the hole and cover the shot rock. Now, for Tim Wright, Don, he's going out a little bit wider where the ice may be just a fraction tougher. He was about 2 inches short from being shot rock on his first one, so he's taking a little bit more ice, and if he throws a little bit more weight, he may find himself just a bit shorter. Clutch shot. This is a big shot for Tim Wright. He has to stay close to Hackner. He can't let Hackner get 2 or 3 up on him. Fingertip control. Lets it go. Front end jumped on it right away. They are brushing it hard.
Careful.
Look how far out he is.
Careful.
Now Wright says, careful, careful. Now it's starting to dig in. Oh, he's got a good-looking shot. He's got a beautiful shot. That's clutch curling. Beautiful shot by Tim Wright.
So with the final stone of end number 2, Tim Wright, the skip of the United States champions, draws to the 4-foot. And after 2 ends of play, it's Canada 1 and the United States 1. Jay Haunt. Jay Haunt.
Yeah.
Like in Haunted House.
Yeah.
Yes, tomorrow it will be Stefan Hasselberg against the winner of this game, either Al Hackner of Canada or Tim Wright of the United States for the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom. And a miss by Canadian lead Pat Perreault. One of the very few occasions on CBC television we have seen this young man miss a shot as he was attempting to run off that center guard thrown up by American lead Russ Armstrong.
Well, that's that side of the ice. You know, you play the out-turn takeout. You play any kind of weight at all, and it's going to run out on you. And with the rock being very close to the center line, Tim Wright's going to ask Russell Armstrong to play an in-turn draw around it. And they like playing the attacking type of game. You know, I talked to them before the game, and they said, we're going to go with what got us here. And they're not going to change anything. But that rock is also hanging out.
So there are now 2 U.S. stones sitting out in front of the rings. Russ Armstrong, a Chicago Cub season ticket holder. As a matter of fact, all 4 members of this American rink are Cub fans, and they're confident that the Cubbies are going to do well this year in the National League. They are predicting another pennant for the Cubs.
And for Pat Perreault, a chance to redeem himself here with the out-turn takeout. The one he missed the first time is in the same spot. If he hits it right, he could make the double. He's very close. Just removes the one.
However, he moves that U.S. rock just a little further away from the center line. But now just 1 stone out in front of the rings with the score tied at 1 here on N3. This semifinal in the World Championship coming to you live from the Kalvin Hall in Glasgow.
You know, one thing I noticed about Tim Wright, Don, is it doesn't take very long to decide what shot he's going to play. He knows what he's doing all the time.
Oh. Leave her short. She's in.
You heard Tim Wright say, leave it short, but it was a little bit too strong. They tried to pull it in behind the corner guard, but it's fairly wide open, and now an opportunity for Hackner maybe to hit that on the inside and roll behind cover.
We talked about Ian Tetley's father, Bill, winning the 1975 Canadian Men's Championship. We had an interesting visit with Bill Tetley earlier in the week. He's certainly enjoying himself here in Glasgow, watching son Ian curl. Ian attempting to do something his father could not, and that is win a World Championship. Good roll by Ian Tetley over into the 12-foot circle. Canada lies 1.
Well, the nice part about Canada for that shot by Ian Tetley, Don, is it takes the United States away from that corner guard. And where that rock is sitting, it's very difficult for the United States to hit and stick on the one that's in the corner of the 12-foot. You'll see him playing the out turn here. And if they roll out, Al Hackner will simply draw around that corner guard on the left-hand side.
Jim Wilson going after that Canadian stone. He's got a good-looking shot.
He's going to roll away, though. He's not going to stick.
Across the rings and out of play. As we mentioned, Jim Wilson, 38 years of age. All 4 members of this American rink are single, and Wilson is the oldest of the 4. As a matter of fact, the 2nd oldest competitor in this year's championship.
And there goes Al Hackner, utilizing that corner guard. He's going to ask Ian Tetley to play the out turn. You can see the broom that he's given him just a little bit over center line. For Tetley, important that he buries this rock.
The only competitor in this year's championship older than Wilson, the Italian second, Giancarlo Vault. He's 43. So curling at the World Championship level, at least, has definitely become a young man's game. Good draw shot by Ian Tetley. He didn't put it quite as deep as he wanted in behind that corner guard of the Americans, but Canada does lie one, and that stone is partially covered.
Well, you know, Don, you talk about a young man's game, and you're absolutely right. But the interesting thing is, you know, Al Hackner is only 30 and Rick Lang's only 31. And really, I don't think you hit your peak in curling until you're about 33. So they've got some great years ahead of them.
And that will come as bad news to other male curlers in Canada who have been attempting to win that Canadian Championship and the Labatt Tankard.
And a good shot by Jay Hunt. A beautiful hit. Roll into the open, and that's what they want to do. They want to hit and roll into the open and keep Canada away from that corner guard. And we'll just watch Hackner put down the brush here. It should be on the edge of that rock if he's going to play the outturn, but he's decided to go play the in-turn. A little bit of a curl to the in-turn as opposed to the outturn, which runs very straight and has a tendency to fall back.
Rick Lang, a study in concentration as he follows the progress of that stone, and he'll make contact and get a bit of a roll. However, the rock is still exposed at the back of the 4-foot. Canada lies one.
And very close to a perfect shot. A little bit less of this rock. You'll see the front end sweeping it. Al Hackner yelling if he just hits it a little bit thinner, he would roll right in behind that corner guard. As it is, he rolls about 2 feet, but it's fairly well open for the U.S. team.
Stefan Hasselberg this afternoon in the other semifinal, defeating Denmark by a score of 4-2 to advance to tomorrow's championship game, which you'll see on CBC Television Sports Weekend. John Jayhunt now attempting the removal of that Canadian stone. He may get the roll. Too much. Jayhunt is an ice maker at the North Moor Country Club in Highland Park. This rink from Wilmette, Illinois, a suburb about 20 miles north of downtown Chicago. They wanted us to say hello to the gang at the Waltham Curling Club, who are looking in via satellite. We should also point out that that championship game tomorrow, Sweden against either the United States or Canada, will take place at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Way out.
Rip Lang has got lots of room. Now watch this rock. It should start curling now. Now they work on it. Try to take it a little bit deeper and bury it. Oh, a beautiful touch by Rick Lang. Back of the 4-foot. About 1/4 buried. Look at Tim Wright. He's already down the ice already. He knows exactly what he's going to do.
Quite a contrast to what we witnessed in the other semifinal, Denmark and Sweden, where it took 3 hours to play a 10-end game.
Halfway down.
Yeah, it did look better. Just didn't come off it.
Notice how his hip didn't. His hip was moving early, and it still just sat there when he was sweeping it.
As he looked narrow on it, just must have one of those deceiving shots that looks narrowing in, but not really. Just runs a lot better than it looks.
Well, you heard Rick Lang and Al Hackner discussing ice conditions.
Well, it depends where you hit the broom. You know, if you kind of float it out a bit, it'll float on you. If you roll a little bit inside, it'll really curl. And here's Tim Wright. Look at this. Good shot. Nice controlled weight by Tim Wright. Another good shot. Let me tell you, this young fella really impresses me.
I like the speed at which he plays as well.
Oh, yeah.
Playing too much.
Here you'll see. Nice controlled weight coming into the house. Good rock. Well, you know, interesting, you know, Don, you talk about that other semifinal game today between Sweden and Denmark. The score was only 4-2, you know, so you figured there wasn't too many rocks in play. You figured they'd play fairly fast, but 3 hours, you know, that's a long time for a game of that type. You know, I can understand it if it's 14-12 or something, a lot of rocks in play, a lot of decisions to make, but I don't think there was 3 rocks in play in any one end.
For the first time in the match, Al Hackner has last rock here on N3. And he's looking to try and get a pair. Just 3 stones remain to be played. 2 by Hackner, 1 by Tim Wright. And the Americans have that shot stone. And now Rick Lang yells to the front end to get on it. They're trying for a bit of an inside roll.
Oh, what a
great shot.
Oh, a gorgeous shot. Don, he just squeaked by that guard. I thought he had rubbed it for a minute. But a good call by Rick Lang. Oh. Look at this. Look at. Perot jumped in the air. He thought he touched it. And he rolled a good foot and a half. And that rock was a quarter buried.
Well, in that men's championship in Moncton, Pat Perot, the lead, curled 100%. So far, the skip, Al Hackner, is curling 100% in this semifinal. Hackner did not curl particularly well as far as percentages go in that championship game, but the shots he made are the ones that curling fans will remember, particularly that dramatic double on the 10th end where he picked up 2 to force the extra end.
Well, you see Tim Wright and John Jahan taking a look at this, Don. The rock is actually open from the intern side, but I don't think the rock will curl. It looks fairly wide open to our viewers.
I'll give you a bumper.
But I don't think it'll curl.
Work with the sweeping then. I'm not sure. But...
They've elected to play the raised take-up. And if he hits it right, he may drive it straight back onto that one and roll in behind the one that he leaves in the front of the house.
You mentioned earlier that this American rink very loose prior to the game. Very compatible.
Now it's getting bigger as I get down here.
What's that?
It gets bigger as I get down here.
You hear him saying it gets bigger as I get down here. When he gets down to this end, it looks like you can see the whole thing. But you got to remember, he's sitting on the center line and looking out there. But the danger here, Don, that rock will stay very straight at the end. I'm a firm believer. Hackner's got a good shot in there. You know your draw weight. I might play the out-turn draw, come around it, and try to corner freeze it. That's too tough a shot.
Well, the big danger here, they're not quite sure as to just how that rock will react.
They elbow right away, so that rock is a long way out there, Don. It will not curl in that area. Look at it. Look at it float out. They know he's missed it. That's why I would have played in the draw. That's too tough a shot.
So a great opportunity now for Al Hackner to get the jump in this semifinal battle against Tim Wright of the United States, as Hackner has a free draw for 2. That rock, that attempted takeout on the Canadian stone, did not bend at all.
Well, that's the danger of changing your mind. You know, you have your one shot in your mind. You're going to play the raise takeout, then you get down all the way down the ice, and you change your mind. That's you should never do that. For Hackner, you know, you want to make the opposing team make a good shot to get his 2. So put it in there. Go around the corner guard. Make him make a tough shot to get his 2, not a free draw. Now you'll watch the front end. Tetley and Perot will jump on this rock right away, Don. As soon as Hackner comes out of the hack, just before he lets it go, they'll start sweeping it. Watch here. Now they start sweeping it, and they'll judge the weight. They're just kind of doing it lightly. Now they're starting to put a little more pressure on the brush head, and they are working it. Rick Lang is now coming out. They are going to have to go on this one. Starting to come into the house. Is he going to make it? Yes.
Al Hackner just drawing to the top of the 12, but that's all he needed. And Hackner gets the jump on Tim Wright of the United States after 3. It's Canada 3, the U.S. 1. for those visitors to Glasgow during Silver Broom Week. Much to see and do. And the River Clyde dissects the city. And right now, Al Hackner and his Canadian champions attempting to do a dissecting job on Tim Wright and his American champions in this semifinal battle. A lot of Canadian support, as we mentioned earlier, and Canadian flags have been paraded around the playing surface throughout the week. Initially, just a couple of Canadian supporters carrying the flag around the ice surface. But as the week has progressed, there have been more and more running around with signs. So far, we haven't seen the way. No, probably a good thing.
Yes. And Tim Wright, Don, finds himself in a position he really didn't want to be in. He didn't want to get down to Hackner early in the game because he knows they play a very strong takeout game. And on this ice, you get up a couple, it's very tough to come back. And he's decided to play the freezing game right off the bat in his fourth end. He's going to try to get his 2 back here.
Hackner attempting the removal of that U.S. stone, calling on Pat Perreault, his lead, to nudge it out of there.
This is the in-turn side coming down here where it runs very straight. That Perreault. Good shot. Picks it right out of there. And every time Canada makes a shot, boy, a cheer goes up.
Perreault curling at 86%. The skip, Al Hackner, at 100%. This was a shot that required a delicate touch to nudge that yellow stone out of there and not disturb the red rock.
Well, that's good curling when you can pick a rock out like that. Even if he hit it on the nose, spilled his own, and stayed right there. That's a good shot.
A student at Lakehead University studying computer science, Patrick Perreault, the Canadian lead. The U.S. lead now, Russ Armstrong, a recent graduate from Bowling Green University in Ohio, again attempting to freeze to that Canadian stone.
And he looks like he's a little bit on the strong side. They haven't laid a brush to it. They're not sweeping it into the rings. It's going to go on its own. Now Wright asked him to sweep it to maybe pull it by the Canadian rock in the 4-foot. And that's not a bad shot either. See it sitting in the back of the 8-foot. And you can see it there. It's just tucked a little bit in behind the shot rock belonging to Canada, but I would think Al Hackner will make a pass at that one.
Hackner waiting for Ian Tetley to get set in the hack. And he's asking for the removal of that U.S. stone with the outturn.
You know, we remarked earlier about Al Hackner not being very happy with his game earlier in the week. But I know that he's really pleased with Perreault and Tetley, the way they played, not only in the Canadian Championship, but here all week. They've been very steady, very consistent. And they don't miss too many, I'll tell you.
Evidence again of the shot-making skills of Ian Tetley as he removes that U.S. stone. When Hackner was talking about not being happy with his play earlier in the week, he was referring to his own play, not the other members of his ring. He felt that on a couple of occasions he let the rink down, particularly in that 6th end against the U.S. on the final draw of round-robin play where he had a chance to 4. He almost came up empty. He almost gave up one.
He was very close to rubbing the guard. You usually don't see Al Hackner miss him that badly.
So now Jim Wilson will attempt to duplicate what Russ Armstrong did with his first stone. Freeze to that Canadian rock.
You hear Tim Wright yelling, whoa, whoa. He's got lots of weight. Now they should maybe bring it in a bit. He's just going to rub it and stay in the open. You know, this type of game, you know, there's 2 ways trying to get back in the game, trying to score 2 points. The corner guard or the freeze method. And, you know, if you don't make a perfect freeze, all of a sudden the opposing team could be laying 2 or 3 on you. I kind of like the corner game early in the game, you know, to try and get your 2 points back. I think maybe freezing to him in the house is a little early to start. You know, he's not out of this game. He's only down 2 points. With the consistency that Canada has in playing takeouts, I would think if they hit and stay with this one, Tim Wright may elect to play the takeout.
Ian Tetley hits. He gets a roll on top of his own stone. Canada lies 2. Taking a look at the percentages as we see that stone again of Ian Tetley's. Perot at 86%, Tetley at 85%, Rick Lang is 86%, and the skip Al Hackner 100.
And conversely, Russell Armstrong is 83, Jim Wilson's 88, John Jahan is 51%, and the skip Tim Wright is 52. So big discrepancy in percentage points between the third and skip of the opposing teams.
And now Wilson is just going to catch a corner of that stone, not enough to remove either. He spreads them around, and Canada lies too.
And now I would think Al Hackner would go to the attack here. And it looked to me like Wilson rolled this a bit, Don. He just touched it. It actually touched the one in the 4-foot, and you'll see the Canadian rock spinning over to the edge of the 12-foot. So Canada's in a good chance here to maybe steal another point.
Jim Wilson's parents are here from Dallas to take in the silver broom. Actually, his father did a fair bit of curling. Not in Dallas, but in the Chicago area.
Look at this call, Don. He's ahead 3-1. He's got one in the 4-foot. He's not guarding it. He's drawing to the other side. And in effect, what he's saying, okay, United States, we're going to give you one this end because we feel if we're one up playing the 5th end, we're going to beat you. He's going to force United States to take one here. That's why he's spreading them around the house.
Or he wouldn't mind taking 2 or 3 or 4 himself.
Oh, no, that's his plan. He's going to make the United States under pressure. They're down 2 points. He's going to make them make a good hit against maybe 2 or 3 rocks in the house to score a point. And that's pressure.
Well, the more red rocks in the house, the more the pressure mounts on the United States here on this 4th end.
Let me tell you, you're 2 down. The other team's lying 4. They look like acorns down at the other end.
John Jahan has a nose hit. The U.S. lies 1.
See, and Al Hackner's quite content to play this type of game. This end continues the way it's going. Canada be lying 3. They're up 2 points. They got control.
Well, this game moving along at a much faster pace than the other semifinal earlier today between Sweden and Denmark, won by Stefan Hasselborg of Sweden by a score of 4-2.
One.
Hold it.
Rick Lang is unable to save his shooter, but Canada still lies 2, 1 on either side of the house. And it's the shot rock sitting in the 8-foot that has attracted the attention of skip Tim Wright now.
That's the side that runs very straight. And I think Rick Lang just threw a little bit too much weight and it ran very straight on him. He just caught a half a rock and rolled out. It's a little bit of life for the American team here. You see Tim Wright kneeling down behind the rock, holding the opposite end of the broom for a guideline for John Jahan.
Hurry! Whoa!
Also running very straight. Now it's coming over the... They haven't laid a brush to it all the way down the ice. Right on the nose. Good hit. Little bit of a roll, but shot rock.
The U.S. now has that shot stone sitting fully in the 12-foot.
And once again, Don, Canada playing from the inside out, and the United States playing from the outside in on the same rock. Same take-up. So Al Hackner prefers really the in-turn when he's playing this shot, and the Americans prefer the out-turn. So contrasting styles.
Canada leads by a score of 3-1 playing this 4th end.
Yeah. I don't know why I let them talk me out of that shot. That's what I thought I might have done, but no, I shouldn't have. I let them talk me out of that shot.
Yeah, we maybe should have drawn.
Oh, the shot was the raise. We know that ice well. The draw you couldn't bury.
Well, you hear John Jahan and Tim Wright still discussing his final stone of the 3rd end.
And a good hit by Al Hackner. Changes the position of the rock a bit, rolls into the center. And now Tim Wright, he is going to play the in-turn.
I would think that he should put that shot totally out of his mind and forget about it. It's gone. There's nothing he can do about it now. But he's still brooding a little about missing that shot and perhaps calling what he thinks was the wrong shot.
Well, I have to agree with him. He did call the wrong shot. I'm a firm believer of If a guy's going to score 2, make it as tough as possible for him. He should have played the draw around the guard and give Al Hackner a tough shot to get his 2 instead of just a free draw. But you're right. You have to put the bad shots out of your mind. You start thinking about that, your attention should just be on the rocks that you're throwing and the end that you're playing.
The U.S. now lies 1 as Wright hits and gets a bit of a roll into the 8-foot, and Hackner will be going after that stone with the in-turn. Canada leads by a score of 3-1. The semi-final in the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom here at Kalvin Hall in Glasgow. The winner tomorrow will go against Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden for the championship. Hasselberg, the survivor of a tiebreaker against Scotland to reach the semifinals, and then knocking off Denmark, the rink that led round-robin play, or at least was accorded a first-place finish, even though they had an identical record to that of the United States and Canada, 6 wins, 3 losses. Hackner's got it, and he gets a roll with the shooter. Canada lies 2. And again, he changes the position of the stone.
Well, a good roll by Al Hackner, because now he's changed that position again. And, you know, anytime you have the opposing skip hitting a rock on the outside of the sheet, he really doesn't have much room for error, because he doesn't have much room to roll to the outside of the rings. If he rolls too much, the one on the right-hand side is going to be shot. He has to roll in towards the center, Don. And that's a tough shot, especially when you're 2 down. So once again, Tim Wright, who's faced 2 or 3 pressure shots early in this game, is once again faced with a difficult shot. It looks very simple from our viewer's standpoint, but let me tell you, he's 2 down. He's going to throw a lot of weight. He's a long way out there, and he's throwing big weight.
He may have thrown too much. Is he going to bend enough to touch that rock at all? No! It's a steal up 2 for Canada on the 4th. And after 4 ends of play in this semifinal at the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom, Canada has taken control, leading the United States 5-1.
My wife said she saw you.
Well, golf and curling have been 2 major topics of conversation here in Glasgow this week. Spectators watching the action in the Air Canada Silver Broom, and on the good days getting an opportunity to go out and play some of the historic and famed golf courses in this area, such as St. Andrews, Troon, Glen Eagles, and others. And Canada leading by a score of 5-1 over the United States in this semifinal battle. And joining us here in our broadcast position is the 1975 Canadian champion, Bill Tepley, who has quite an interest in this game in watching son Ian play. And Bill, how have you been enjoying things all week?
Well, everything's been enjoyable except the curling. I think I enjoyed the curling a little more in 75. It was a lot easier playing than watching.
It's always tough watching an offspring perform in any sport, isn't it?
Well, that's true, and I found out that out this week.
Bill, do you talk to Ian at all about the game prior or after?
We always have a little discussion after the game, and we talk about whatever he wants to talk about. There's too much experience out there for me to try to second-guess Hackner and Lang, and he says what he feels about the way he curled, and I criticize him now and then.
Well, we'll let you describe son Ian's delivery here on end number 5.
Well, Ian's delivery is the basic curl Canada flat-footed delivery, which he didn't learn from me. I think probably Don Duguid and Ray Turnbull may be responsible for that. He comes out very well, directly behind the rock, like Donnie taught him, and this week has made a good percentage of shots.
Bill, how did he react to the Briar?
I think he went through the same stomach quips that we've all gone through walking on the ice, but they went in as rookies, and I think about 3 games later they were veterans.
One of the things a lot of people have commented about is how the two of them stay out of any discussion with Hackner and Lang. They are out there to do their job as a front end, and I think they're just absolutely delighted to be curling in this level of competition with an Al Hackner.
Well, no doubt about that. 22 years old and a world championship. Donnie and I both had to wait a lot longer than that.
Come on. Come on. Hurry.
Well, it's going to be difficult the way Hackner and his rink are curling right now for the United States to get back in this game. Would you agree with that, Bill?
Well, Don, all week they've played just miserably the first half of the games. I think the second half stats right across the board, except maybe the game against Germany, they were low in the first 5 ends, and they came back after the break and curled well. This is kind of a turnaround game. I hope their second half will be as strong as their first half.
Well, just at the top of the show, Bill, we were talking about their rough starts in the early going, but I think the game that turned them around was against Norway. They were down 3-1, and I think they played 5 or 6 flawless ends in a row to come back and win that game.
That's true, and I give a lot of credit to Bruce Kennedy, the 5th man on the team. He noticed something that maybe Al hadn't picked up, that Al thought the ice wasn't going to pull as much as it was, and Bruce said, go out there and believe it, and after that they curled very well.
Well, son Ian has made 2 fine shots on this end, Bill, and Canada now lies 2. Canada leads by a score of 5-1. Thanks for joining us here, and we'll let you now return to your seat and relax and enjoy the rest of this game.
All right, Don, just one other thing. I think the Hackner team seems to curl best when they're out there in front of the Don and Don group.
They seem to do well when they're out there, don't they? Bill Tepley, the 1975 Canadian men's champion. And, of course, watching son Ian in this semifinal battle against the United States here at the Air Canada Silver Broom in Glasgow.
Well, I'll tell you, I agree with Bill that him and his charming wife have gone through a lot through the Canadian Championship and the Silver Broom. It's always tougher watching than it is curling.
Now Rick Lang is being asked to run that corner guard that was just thrown up by the Americans. He'll catch a corner of it, and the shooter will also roll over. He may nudge his own in. No, he nudges it out of play, and the shooter hangs around on the other side of the sheet for a corner guard. Canada still lies 2. A steal of 2 on the 4th after the Canadians got a pair on the 3rd with last rock advantage.
And for the United States, Don, they're going to have to gamble for all they're worth now. They're going to have to try and freeze to the rocks on the corner and hope for any kind of break at all to get back in this game. They have to score a couple of points here. That'll put them 2 down, but they wouldn't be out of it. 5-1 is a pretty tough lead to come back on, especially against Al Hackner. And that rock is really curling over there. And he's not shot rocked. As a matter of fact, you look, I think Canada could be lying 2 there.
Hackner taking a look at that yellow-handled stone.
Same thing.
He wants that yellow rock out of there. He is not at all concerned if Rick Lang spills his own.
And for Canada, of course, it's just a matter of concentration now. Don't start overthrowing the rock.
Which he may have done right here.
It looks like it's got a long way to come. I think Rick Lang may check out his own. Is he close? Yes, he did. Took out his own, rolled over to the back one, and just gets a bite of the back 12-foot.
And now I believe the United States is shot.
That's exactly right. They are lying shot, and Rick Lang just picked up his weight, Don, and maybe threw it a fraction wide and picked his own up. And this is what the United States need. They have to score 2 here to get back in this game.
As you said, they must do a lot of gambling and then get breaks, such as they just received.
Well, in this case here, they have 2 rocks in the back of the house belonging to Canada, so if they can get one in on top of them somewhere, maybe Canada would drive it on to one of their own, and they'll get 2 that way. This is a cold draw for 2, but you know, there's a chance they could get it in for 3 here if Canada drives it on the one at the back. Nice draw weight.
So the U.S. lies 2 here on N5. The United States trailing Canada by a score of 5-1.
Something bad. Well, I told Alan, the last 2 times we played him, we had a 3-4 point lead, so give him a chat with it.
No down for our viewers.
Sure.
They're kind of loose back there, aren't they, Tim Wright and
It's still the game.
Jay Hunt? They're down 5-1, and they're still in the game. For our viewers here, Al Hackner's playing the out-turn takeout on the rock on the 12-foot, and the people are probably thinking, why doesn't he hit the one that's on the button for shot rock? But there's a danger he may drive it on one of the 2 rocks at the back, and that's why he's taking this one on the outside. He's right on line.
Come on, come on.
He wants to roll in a little bit towards the center. Good shot.
Al Hackner is still curling 100%. Well, now joining us at our broadcast position is the man who throws 3rd stones for the rink from Sweden that has advanced to the championship game, Michael Hasselborg. And congratulations on your semifinal victory over Denmark.
Thank you very much.
Is this game going as you thought it might?
Yes, I think it's perhaps Canada get 2 very easy points in the last ends, but I think Canada take this game. It's no doubt about that.
Michael, you had a bit of a struggle getting into the playoffs, but you're starting to play real well, and you're catching onto the ice a little better now?
Yes, I think we have a bad start this week, and perhaps we were thinking too much of the ending of the week, but now we are back in the game, so we are in good spirit.
I want you to know, Michael, that Don Duguid at the start of the week, as the competition got underway, predicted that Sweden would be in the championship game.
Oh, thank you for that.
That's why they got me up here, Michael.
How about the ice conditions? Earlier in the week, it was very warm in here, I believe, in the second draw, and the ice was very, very heavy.
It's more like what you call the second game, but now it's superb. Yes, beautiful ice.
The United States, with a fine draw by Tim Wright, now lies 2. Well, Michael, what shot would you call here?
Let's say this is the one to hit.
Oh, yeah. I think I go for a more easy takeout on the right side. The yellow stone on the right side, and roll in front of the other yellow one, perhaps. You have always a chance that the yellow stone will stay at the red stone in the back, but I think that chance is really not so big.
And the two, of course, the two on the left side are both together, Michael, and a little easier shot for Al Hackner. If he hits it in the center, he's going to kill the United States rock, and that's exactly the shot he's going to play. He's going to hit that one right on the center and say, okay, we're going to. It looks like he's conceding 2 here.
Yeah.
Michael, you defeated Denmark by a score of 4-2 in the earlier semifinal. Did the performance of the Danes in this year's competition surprise you?
Actually, it did a little bit. But when I saw the team and from the beginning of the week, I realized that they are a very good team. So I've been not surprised if they are in the top of the next year's Silver Broom.
The final shot by Al Hackner on this fifth end. Still 1 stone to come by the Americans. Will he push it through cleanly? Yes, he will. And he gets a bit of a roll on top of his own stone.
Yep. Canada's shot rock. And for Tim Wright, Don, he cannot afford to hit that rock on the outside and roll at all, because he'll just drive it onto the other Canadian rock, and he may end up only getting 1 here. Then again, he cannot afford to hit it on the inside, or he'll roll away and he'll only score 1. So this is a delicate shot for Tim Wright, and he needs this too desperately.
Well, earlier in this end, it looked as though Canada was controlling quite well until Rick Lang missed an attempted takeout on a U.S. stone, sitting on the edge of the 12-foot. And now the Americans have a chance to get right back in the game. Looking for 2 here on the 5th with this final stone by Tim Wright.
He's got a lot of weight, and that rock is hanging out for him. He's going to drive the Canadian rock. Is he going to stay, though? Oh, yes, he is. He got a little bit of a rub on his own, Don, and he scores 2.
So the United States bounces back on the 5th end. The United States now trailing by 2. It's Canada 5 and the U.S. 3. Michael Hasselborg, who throws 3rd stone for the Swedish rink, skipped by Stefan Hasselborg, and will play either Canada or the U.S. in tomorrow's championship game, has been with us here in our broadcast booth. And Michael, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out, and we'll look forward to watching you perform in tomorrow's championship game.
Okay, see you.
5-3, Canada leading the United States as they clean the ice at the midpoint of this semifinal battle here at the Kalvin Hall in Glasgow. It's interesting, Don Duguid, how an end can change so quickly. It looked as though Canada had total control of the 5th end.
Well, I think the bad rock was Rick Lang's rock, Don, where he took his own out and rolled over and touched his other one at the back, and then left the United States lying 1 and a free draw for 2. And I think Rick Lang maybe just didn't concentrate hard enough on that shot, because he was a little bit wide and quite a bit strong, and he took his own out.
And it's interesting, too, that the skip, Al Hackner, through the first 5 ends is curling a perfect 100%. And tomorrow, of course, it will be Sweden against either Canada or the United States for the Air Canada Silver Broom. And we note now that Al Hackner is standing by down at ice level, or I believe Tim Wright is standing by down at ice level. Tim, can you hear us okay?
Loud and clear.
Tim, that 5th end, you managed to turn things around. It looked as though you fellas might have gotten yourself into a bit of trouble.
Well, better late than never. This is a good team we're playing, but we'll keep plugging away. We're a good finesse team, a good quiet weight team. So we'll hang in there and see if we can come back and make something out of this.
I thought an interesting comment, yourself and 3rd John Jahant, you were laughing and talking about previous games against Hackner and the fact that they were able to come back. You felt you could do the same thing.
Well, Al and I play a similar kind of game, and we'll just keep plugging away. Who knows what will happen.
Tim, what type of a game are you going to play now? A lot of center guards and try to steal, or are you going to wait for your chance when you have last rock?
I like to gamble, and today, of course, it backfired. We like to gamble all the way through. But we'll be putting the stuff up in front and coming around and see what we can do with it.
If you had 1 rock to throw over again, which one would it be?
There are a few to pick from, aren't there? I suppose I would think I'd have to draw on that 4th end if I want to do it again.
Well, that was the shot that caused you some concern even after you had played it, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Tim Wright, for chatting with us. Good luck over the final 5 ends of this semifinal battle. Canada leads the United States 5-3.
To take some pretty drastic action now.
Well, we take drastic action all the time. That's what got me in trouble to begin with there. But Al and I play the same kind of game, and we'll have some stones on play now.
Al Hackner, the Iceman looks as if he's on fire. You're very settled, playing 100%.
Well, I think the last 3 or 4 games I played in the round robin, I seem to have found my form. I got over the opening series games where I just wasn't playing well, and I'm confident in the way I'm putting the Broom now, and I'm throwing it well, so I'm quite pleased with the way I'm playing.
Al, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me, Al? Yes. Attaboy.
In about 5 seconds. Back at Kalvin Hall in Glasgow, Canada leading the U.S. 5-3 after 5 ends of play. Al Hackner, the Canadian skip, was telling us before the game that he thought he had found his form over the final couple of games. Al, at 100% in this semifinal battle, I would suggest you have indeed found your form.
Yeah, I had struggles through the first 5 or 6 games of round robin, just plain not believing the ice, not believing what the Rocks were doing, and I spent the last 3 or 4 games of the round robin just every time I sat in a hack concentrating quite a bit on believing that the Broom was in the right spot and throw it there, and it's been working, and so far this game the same results.
Al, you're up 2 points. Are you going to try to hold that lead throughout the 10th end, or are you going to do a bit of gambling to maybe get back that 2 points U.S. scored in the 5th end?
I think we're going to be keeping it clean. I think even after we got up to 2 points and we're playing the 4th end, we had a chance to throw the cover on the front rock, but I decided just to keep it open, keep the Rocks in play, and keep them hitting, and that way we shouldn't get in too much trouble.
Al, if you had one disappointment this week, I guess it would have been yesterday afternoon. Weather prevented you from playing at St. Andrews.
Yeah, we had the game lined up to play St. Andrews, and all of us were quite excited to go out. And then we woke up the morning, and there was snow coming down, and it was quite cold out, so that pretty well canceled that deal.
Well, maybe you can take a few days off after this is all over. Al Hackner, good luck over the final 5 ends. Canada leading the United States by a score of 5-3. And the Canadian skip curling a perfect 100% through the first 5 ends. In comparison, Tim Wright, the skip of the American champions, is at 60%.
Well, that's quite a discrepancy, Don. 40 percentage points, but you're only down 2 points. You know, for Tim Wright, he's got to attack the game, maybe put up some center guards, hope to steal one here, maybe give Al 1 in the 7 and get 2 in the 8th, and get back in this game. He's not out of it. But the big thing I noticed, the U.S. team versus Canada, the United States plays a lot of heavy takeouts. You know, and you're more apt to roll out on him. And when he needs a pressure shot, that could come into play. The fact that he throws so much weight, where he needs a delicate hit and roll, may go against him by throwing that heavy weight.
Well, when Al Hackner won his previous World Championship in 1982 in Garmisch, he had Rick Lang at third stone, but the front end was different. Bob Nickel and Bruce Kennedy were at second and lead, respectively. This year, Hackner came back with Ian Tetley and Patrick Perreault. And the two 22-year-old curlers have been very steady throughout the Northern Ontario playdowns to qualify for the Brier during the week of curling in Moncton and also here at the Silver Broom. Next year's World Curling Championship will take place in Toronto, and 2 years from now it will be held in Vancouver in 1988 when curling becomes a demonstration sport at the Olympic Games in Calgary. The Silver Broom will be held in Lausanne, Switzerland. talked about percentages. The total percentages for all 8 curlers through 5 ends. Perot at 74%, Tetley at 88%, Lang at 77%, and Hackner at 100%. Russ Armstrong of the U.S. 84%, Jim Wilson at 71%, John J. Haunt 64%, and Tim Wright 60%. Hackner opting to run that center guard that was thrown up by Russ Armstrong, calling on Pat Perot to take this off.
Well, you heard Hackner say that he's going to play it fairly wide open. He's got a comfortable lead. He's 2 up playing the 6th end, the even end where he wants to be. And he'll just try to maintain this lead, Don. I don't think he'll do anything fancy. If he gets this out of the United States team, he may go around a corner guard, but he'll just play it nice and conservative now. He'll maybe blank this end if he has a chance and maintain the advantage of last rock playing the 7th. For Tim Wright, of course, his job is to protect that center line, that 4-foot area, hoping Canada will hit it on the nose and they can steal one in the 4-foot area. Pull one around a center guard.
Well, the United States has won the world title on 4 occasions. The first back in 1965. Bud Somerville was the winner that year.
Who did he beat?
Beat a fellow by the name of Terry Bronstein, who happens to be sitting directly in front of us. He's one of the official scorers this week, and throwing third stone for him in that 1965 championship in Perth, Scotland, was a youngster by the name of Don Dugan.
Yes, we had a great year that year, except for the final game, but all due credit to Bud Somerville, curled very well.
Well, Canada did achieve some success at the Perth ice rink just a couple of weeks ago, as Bob Ursel directed his Winnipeg Granite Curling Club to victory in the World Junior Championship.
And Don, would be amiss if we didn't mention young Pat Ryan of Alberta, who put out an outstanding show at the Canadian Championship. And Pat, if you're listening, we know you'll be back, and we're looking forward to doing some telecasts when you're in the final and going to win it, because your team played very well, and I know that you're going to come back. So hang in there, Pat.
Well, Pat Perot corners that U.S. stone. The shooter also rolls out of play, and as Hackner said, he'll be attempting to keep things clean. We mentioned that the U.S. has won this world title on 4 occasions, in addition to Bud Somerville in '65. They won it in 1974. It was Bud Somerville with his 2nd championship. In 1976, Bruce Roberts was the winner, and in 1978, Bob Nichols won the title.
And the difficulty for Tim Wright, Don, is that he has to play all the rocks in the center. So if he puts them in the same spot all the time, it's routine takeouts for Canada in the same spot. There's no confusion as to how much ice to give your team members, because the rock is generally in the same spot. What you have to hope for is maybe that the Canadian player, either Pat Perot or Ian Tetley or Rick Lang, maybe roll it inside a bit, throw a little bit too much weight and hit it on the nose, or hang around somewhere where they can hide behind.
Ian Tetley attempting to remove that center guard, and at the same time rule the shooter out of play, and he succeeds. Well, Canada dominated the World Championship in the early years, and then from 1973 through to 1980, Canada suffered through a 7-year drought before Rick Folk finally won the world title for Canada that year. The World Championship held in Moncton. But in '81 in London, Ontario, Switzerland took the title with Jörg Tanner, but Hackner in '82, Eddie Wernick in '83, and Eigil Ramsfjell of Norway won his country's 2nd World Championship last year. Norway this year was represented by Christian Sorum, the 1979 world champion, and Sorum lost in one of the tiebreakers to Scotland. Sorum struggled during the week.
He really did. You know, I taught a little bit of curling with Christian this year in Winnipeg, and he's an excellent teacher, and he knows, understands the game. But let me tell you here, he was a mere shadow himself. Not so much from shot making. He missed some crucial shots, but his skipping was very questionable. And, you know, that's not the Christian Sorum that I know.
Ian Tetley rolls off that U.S. stone, and through the first 4 rocks of this 6th end, Canada has successfully peeled off every center guard the Americans have thrown up.
You know, this is a frustrating type of game to play for Tim Wright and also for Al Hackner. Al Hackner feels he's got enough points to win the game. Of course, Tim Wright knows he has to get back in the game, putting up guards, but the Canadian team very proficient at taking off those guards and rolling their shooters off. So it's a frustrating type of game. You got to hope for a break. You got to have patience when you're down 2 points playing the sixth inning, especially against Hackner. You have to have patience. Come on.
John Jahunt at third stone for the U.S. suffered a rather nasty cut to the ring finger of his right hand yesterday. He was reaching into a drawer and sliced his finger on a razor blade. It required 3 stitches. However, he was telling us prior to the match that he came out and threw some stones this morning and it didn't bother him at all.
See Rick Lang peeling this one off. He's going to catch a corner of it. You know, Don, if the score was 5-4 or 4-3 for Canada and Canada had last rock, that rock was off the center line a bit. Al Hackner might have gone around it, but he's 2 points up. He feels very comfortable being 2 points up, having the advantage of last rock. And that's why he peeled that one off. Al Hackner wouldn't mind blanking the remaining ends. In this type of ice, you know, it's possible. Very possible. You know, it's very keen, very straight. It makes ice reading very easy and makes takeouts very easy. This one looks a little bit strong. They don't want it in the house. And you'll see Wilson kind of shaking his brush a bit. Now they're going to decide to take it all the way in the house. And really, that's not a good shot when you're trying to steal points. You want them out in front of the rings, because now if Hackner hits this one on the nose, you can't afford to gamble and put a guard up, because Hackner would draw on the other side. And if they get 2 here, they really have control of the game. So that's really not a very good shot by John Jahunt. A little too deep. Rick Lang with that classic delivery. And they want to stay on this one. They want to play in the house. Get a little bit of a roll to the corner.
And Rick Lang rolls the shooter over in the 12-foot. What a curling career Rick Lang has had, in addition to winning 3 Briers, 1975 with Bill Tetley and in 1982. And again this year with Al Hackner. He skipped his own rink to the 81 mixed title.
Well, you know, I've said it before that he's been one of my favorite curlers, always has been. He's a dedicated curler. He throws the rock the same way all the time, and that's why he's so good. He's consistently throwing the rock the same way all the time. You very seldom see him throw a bad shot like he did in that 5th end. Very seldom.
And we should also put a plug in for a big event that he is co-chairman of that takes place in Thunder Bay, the Hart Bonspiel, that has attracted some of the big names in curling. And here's a miss by Tim Wright. The miss that Al Hackner was looking for here on end number 6, and he now has a chance to perhaps get 2.
Well, you know, we remarked about John Jahunt's last rock coming into the house, and that's a problem. That's where Hackner wants to play, and he was forced to hit that one, and unfortunately he missed it. If the rock was out in front, Hackner would have peeled it off. He wouldn't have got in this trouble. Now it looks like Canada's going to score 2 and really take control.
Canada stole 1 on the first end. The U.S. with last rock bounced back for 1 in the second. Canada with last rock for the first time picked up 2 on the third, and then with a final stone miss on the 4th by Tim Wright, Canada stole 2 more. But then the U.S. came back with a pair in the 5th, and that's the way the score stands, 5-3, Canada in front. But Hackner lies 1. He's drawing for a second stone.
Right off.
He may be a little warm.
Oh, they started brushing it. Now they're right off it altogether. He is down the very fast part of the ice. Is he going to hang around in the back? Ball. Jahunt trying to, no, it stops in the half in the 12, half in the 8. Now, a situation for Tim Wright. You're down 2. Do you try to play the double, or do you freeze to that one?
Play freezer.
Well, Tim Wright has opted to freeze, and he wasted very little time in making the decision.
Well, I'm telling you, this is a difficult shot. It's a difficult shot from the standpoint. He's down 2 points. If he doesn't make a perfect free, he sits in the open. Hackner's got a wide open hit for 3, and he goes 5 up, down, and this game is over. So it's a bit of a gamble here.
Yeah.
And the sweepers are going to have to judge the weight on this. And Jay Hunt's going to have to watch the line. Laid it a little bit inside the broom.
That'll work.
They haven't laid a little bit of brushing. Looks like he has nice
That'll
weight.
work. That'll work.
Running very straight down there. Now it's starting to come over.
Hooray.
They're trying to bring it up tight to the Canadian rock in the back of the
Hooray.
ring, but
Come on, John.
he's got a good-looking shot.
But he does not have enough to get down to that Canadian stone. So now an opportunity for Al Hackner to perhaps nudge that rock out of there and pick up 3. However, Hackner has to be careful that he does not push that U.S. stone back onto his own.
Don, I tell you what he's concentrating on. He just wants to score 2 here. If he gets 3, it's a bonus for him. If he hits that on the nose, drives it straight back, takes out the one at the back, he don't care. He wants to score 2 here. The danger for Hackner here is he cannot afford to throw it wide of the brush that Rick Lang is holding. If he throws it wide of that brush, it's liable to run straight or fall off on him, and he'll miss it altogether. Here he is, the Iceman, in turn.
Still curling at 100%.
Rick Lang yelled, whoa, right away, right off, he said. That rock is taking a long time to come over. He has missed it, or has he got a piece of it? Oh, he just touched it. Oh.
Will he take it out of the rings? No, it hangs around. Canada gets just 1. He just caught a corner of that stone. And Al Hackner's percentage drops from 100 to 96%.
And a little bit of life for the U.S. team.
So after 6 ends of play, it's Canada 6 and the United States 3. Been in the midst of a Grand Prix a couple of times this week here in Glasgow, riding with Mr. Duguid, driving an automobile with the steering wheel on the right-hand side of the car. You haven't done badly.
I never missed an appointment. Got you there every time, on time.
You did miss our tee-off time at St. Andrews, though.
Don, a big break for the United States team. Canada could have scored 2 there and really put this game, or 3, and put this game virtually out of reach. But Canada only scoring 1 now for Wright. He has to score 2 this end and get back in the game. He'll only be down 1 point then. So that was a turning point for Al Hackner. Curling 100% up to then. Unfortunately, he had a chance to put this game away and missed.
Must be something about the 6th end in playing the United States. It was the 6th end that did him in the final game in the round robin, where he dropped a 7-4 decision. He had a chance, trailing in that game at that point, to pick up 4. He was able to get just 2.
That's right. He had a chance to score 7 points in those 2 6th end. This one here, and of course 1 in the round robin. He ended up getting 3 out of the 7 points. He was down 4-1 at that time in that round robin game, and that would have put him ahead 5-4, giving him a big lift, but unfortunately he rolled it inside and just got 2.
Ian Tetley attempting to run off that corner guard that the Americans have thrown up there, and he succeeds. First stone by Pat Perreault coming to rest at the back of the 4-foot, and so far Tim Wright has ignored it. He keeps throwing up the corner guards.
That's a good play, Don. He wants to throw up as many corner guards in. He has to score 2. So he throws up a corner guard for maybe 5 or 6 rocks. And if that doesn't work out, then he'll freeze to that one at the back of the 4-foot, and he'll try to score his 2 points that way, hoping that the Canadians will drive it onto the one in the back of the 4-foot. So he'll throw up a couple of corner guards, a couple more corner guards, hope that Canada maybe hits and rolls somewhere where they can hide behind it.
Okay, fine.
And the rock comes to rest on the center line. The delivery by Jim Wilson. Well, we talked about the former champions, people who have won the Silver Broom. There are a number of former Canadian champions who are here in Glasgow for this year's Silver Broom. We heard earlier from Bill Tetley. Terry Bronstein is here. Of course, Don Duguid won the Canadian Championship, skipping his own rink on 2 occasions. As Tetley runs that U.S. stone, Barry Neymark, who played for Lyle Dagg when he won in 1964, is here. Ernie Richardson, who won the Canadian and World Championship on 4 occasions, taking in the action. Have I missed anybody?
I think we've missed a couple. I'm just trying to think now.
Well, a Scottish champion over the years has been Alex Torrance. He's won that a couple of times. Unable to win the World Championship, though, Alex.
Yes, that's right. The nearest I got to was in '64 in Calgary against Lyle Dagg. We lost the next round.
Alex, you're on the committee for this year's Silver Broom. I think all of the people on the committee deserve a pat on the back. You've done a magnificent job in staging this year's championship. There were some who doubted the ability to put ice into Kalvin Hall.
Yeah, I think they've done a first-class job. I think the ice this year has been as good as it's been in any Broom, any previous Broom. Don Lewis and his team have done a tremendous job, really have.
We were saying earlier that the success they have had in putting ice here perhaps opens up a number of areas for hosting this Silver Broom, who have been unable to bid in the past because they have not had an adequate ice arena.
Yeah. Well, we have seen accommodation for over 5,000 people. It's never been 100% full, but we have had maybe 4,000 most of the draws. The standard of curling is higher now than it's ever been too, I think, because you take that board, the leaderboard there, and you look at the top team and they're 6 and 3, and you look at the second bottom team and they're 4 and 5. And I don't think ever before in the history of the Silver Broom there's only been 2 games between 9 teams. I mean, it's been very close.
Only Scotland's B team was out of the running.
Yeah, well, we put them over the border. We didn't want them, you know.
I have to ask you, 3 teams tied for the final playoff spot, and they drew straws to see where they were going to be positioned in the tiebreaker. There was some controversy over that. Do you want to just explain that a bit, what happened?
Well, yesterday morning, we came onto the ice to practice, and we were on sheet 4. And Inger, the assistant umpire, started to dish out a draw, to draw for placings. They said the possible 6-way tie. And this was done before the final game in the round robin. And when she came over to us, there were only 2 draws left, and I asked her what this was for. She said, this is for a possible tiebreaker. I said, that's not on. I mean, you don't do that in the Silver Broom. You wait until your round robin's finished, you get your teams involved, you bring them all along, you announce what you're doing, and if there's 3 teams involved, which there were, you make a draw. And the team that draws the lowest number, they get the bye. Unfortunately, we didn't know what was happening. I went to Chuck to ask him before the final game of the round robin. He said, well, this is what we're doing. Doug says this is what we're doing with Briar. So I went to Doug and asked him, and then I asked Don Dugan this morning if they do this in the Briar. Don says, no way. They bring the 3 teams together, they make a draw, and that is the position. And I think that it's really been diabolical, this result, because Scotland were forced to play Norway, and we didn't know what happened. I mean, it was a silly way to come to the thing. And we get something like this every year. And I think with ICF, they should get this rules committee who make the rules, give it over to Chuck, and then I think Doug Maxwell interfered, and I think that's all wrong. That's my position of it. And I made a protest to the ICF, sent a letter, and of course they hadn't time and they just ignored it. So there you are. That was the position of Scotland, and I felt very bad about it.
Well, the Scottish champions, skipped by Billy Howitt, upset Norway, of course, and lost to Sweden to get into the semi-final. A lot of people last night were really hoping that Scotland would get into the semi-final. I think it would have helped at the gate and would have created a lot of excitement here in Kalvin Hall.
Yeah, well, I'm very proud of the Scots boys. They've really played magnificent, except against Sweden twice. Unfortunately, I think in the playoff against Sweden, we were drawing for shot at the 5th end to go 3-2 up, and Billy Stone caught a corn broom straw and dived and pushed them in for second shot, and that put us 2 down. We never really recovered for that. I must say the Swedish team last night, they played magnificently, and if they play that way, Canada's going to have a hard game in the final. No doubt about that.
Okay, Alex Torrance, thank you very much for joining us and talking about curling magnificently. Al Hackner certainly is in this semifinal, as he, with his first stone of this 7th end, removes that U.S. rock, and Canada lies 2.
Well, Al Hackner looking for a little bit of a roll. You see Rick Lang move over, Don. He wants to roll it in behind the guard. It's fairly wide open. If he rolls in behind the guard, he takes it away from the U.S. team.
My flash on that one, that's 3 points. 9-3. 8-2. 8-2, yeah. It's okay. Let's keep it.
And for Tim Wright, a big shot here. If he would like to get a little bit of an inside roll to score his 2 points here. He's thrown big weight again, and that rock is going to hang on him. Should curl a bit at the end. Is it going to come over enough for him to get the roll? No, he's on the outside of it. He wanted that much of a roll to the inside.
Certainly a difference in the deliveries of the Americans as opposed to the Canadians, as you have pointed out, where Hackner and Lang and Tetley and Perot are all right in behind their rocks. The Americans all off at an angle.
Well, I'm a firm believer. It's just like golf. You have to throw the golf club out towards where you're shooting. The same thing in curling. You have to get right in behind the rock, release it, and if you could slide all the way down the ice, your nose should hit the broom. With the United States, they do not get in behind the rock. They're actually throwing off their shoulder, so it gives them a different angle that they're shooting at. And I don't think you can be as consistent when you're throwing off your shoulder as opposed to the way Al Hackner throws.
Well, let's watch Hackner closely on this delivery.
See Rick Lang. Watch the way he comes out. Look how he's right in behind that rock. His sliding foot, his hand, his head, everything. Shoulders square to the foot. Look at him. He slid all the way down the ice, he'd hit the broom. That's why he's such a good curler. He throws the rock the same way all the time. Look at that. That's consistency. And that's what you strive for in curling.
Canada lies 2. Well, on this 7th end, Tim Wright is going to be forced to take a point or give up 1 or 2 to Canada. he was hoping that he'd be able to get right back in the game with a pair here on the 7th end after the miscue by Hackner on the 6th, where Hackner had a chance for 3 and wound up with just 1.
And once again, the Canadian team has done their job like the United States did in the 6th end. Canada has done it here in the 7th end. They're going to force U.S. to take 1.
Good, they never put 8. That's much more.
And again, coming out at an angle.
And look at his shoulders, how they're turned. You know, that might cost you 1 or 2 shots in a game, and that's all it takes, especially when you're playing a guy like Hackner. He's got a good shot here, though. Is he going to hang around? Yes, he is. A little bit of a roll. Scores a point.
So with the final stone on band 7, Tim Wright picks up a single point. And after 7 ends of play, Canada leads the United States by a score of 6-4 here at the Air Canada Silver Broom semifinal in Glasgow.
Oh, sorry. Right, chat. That should be the Abbey 50.
The old and the new. Different styles of architecture, both appealing to the visitor here in Glasgow. 6-4, Canada leads the U.S. 3 ends remaining in this Silver Broom semifinal. The winner will face Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden tomorrow afternoon in the championship game. And we will have it for you on CBC Sports Weekend.
Well, I was interested in Alec Torrance's remarks about that Swedish team, Don, and they are good. They play a very consistent type of game. The only thing I don't like about them, they try to win every game 2-1. And against the Al Hackner, you cannot do that because he'll kill you somewhere along the line. So it's going to, if Canada goes on to win this semifinal, goes into the final against Sweden, I would think that Hackner will be throwing up a lot of corner guards, making Hasselberg play a lot of tough come-around shots.
That first stone by Pat Perot as we take another look at it here on this 8th end, trying to remove that center guard thrown up by Tim Wright, and he just caught a piece of it, not enough to remove it, just nudging it over to the left of the center line. We should point out that telecast time tomorrow for that championship game, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So whatever part of the country you live in, adjust the time accordingly. Actually, here in Scotland, tomorrow or tonight at midnight, they move their clocks ahead 1 hour to British summertime. However, with the snow that has been falling for the past couple of days, summer is a few days away.
And for Russell Armstrong, Dong, not a very good shot. Tim Wright was asking him to pull in around that corner guard. He was extremely heavy. They never swept it all the way down the ice, and therefore it stayed very straight all the way down the ice, and he left it wide open. So now for Pat Perot, a chance to redeem himself here, to hit and stick. And is he going to hang around? He on the corner of the 12th, but that's a pretty good shot. That potentially sets up 2 points for Canada here, providing that Wright doesn't get one around that center guard, just off the center line. You'll see here, pretty big weight by Pat Perot, but he hits it and rolls over to the corner of the 12-foot.
Well, in talking to Alex Torrance, I didn't want to bring the subject up, but it hasn't been a good week for Scotland, losing in the curling. This is the birthplace of the roaring game, and in the World Cup qualifying match against Wales the other night, Scotland lost 1-0 at Hampden Park before almost 70,000. The first time in 34 years that they have lost at home to Wales.
Well, we saw them getting all on the trains the other day, Don, and there was a pile of them going to that soccer game. We asked a group of them about who was going to win, and they were all pretty definite. Scotland was going to win easy. But a big upset.
Canada with the red rock sitting over there on the right-hand side of the 12-foot, the shot stone right on the button belonging to the U.S., and that's the one that Hackner is asking Ian Tetley to remove, and it is partially covered, at least from the outturn side.
Don, you saw Al Hackner touch his shoulder, and he's just indicating to Ian Tetley what kind of weight he wants him to throw. He doesn't want him to throw runner weight, but normal takeout weight if he touches the shoulder. He doesn't want him to throw any lighter or any heavier than that. And he's well by the guard. He's going to get it and roll into the open. Good shot.
Well, Ian Tetley certainly followed instruction.
Now, I don't think the United States can fool around anymore. I think they have to take that rock out on the 4-foot. Here you see Ian Tetley's rock coming in. Nice controlled weight. A little bit of a roll to the edge of the 4-foot. And I think for the United States, they're going to have to hit that one and roll behind cover. And that's exactly what Tim Wright is calling for. Here you see a good angle shot coming right at us. The in-turn takeout running very straight. Now you see it starting to curl over a bit. They're hoping he gets an inside roll. Oh, a good-looking shot. Is he going to roll far enough? He rolls, but still partially open.
I should correct myself. I believe I said earlier that all 4 members of the U.S. team came out at an angle. Jim Wilson is one who is directly in behind the stone. And he almost had a perfect shot. He had to roll about another 1.5 feet. And again, Al Hackner indicates the weight he wants second Ian Tetley to throw.
Well, you see him touch exactly the same spot on his shoulder, and that means same weight. Ian, you should get it. Don't overthrow it. Oh, and you heard him yell, right off, right off, right away. That rock is a long way out. It should start to curl in this area. Is it going to pull enough? Oh, just catches the corner.
A sigh of relief on the part of 22-year-old Ian Tetley as he removed that U.S. rock, but the shooter also rolled out. And now Tim Wright is asking his third, John Jahant, to go in behind that yellow rock sitting out front of the rings.
Well, I think this is a good call by Tim Wright. He's 2 down. He's playing the 8th end. He knows he has to steal a point either in the 8th or 9th end. He's going to ignore the Canadian rock that's on the corner of the 12-foot and draw around that center guard. He wants to be buried. He doesn't want to leave it in the open. And a lot of weight coming down here by Jahant.
Sit down.
You hear him yelling, sit down, sit down, quiet. And a good shot. Nicely buried, a little deeper than he wanted to do, Don, but well protected.
Back 12.
Just out, now ice it tight.
And perhaps, Don, you can explain.
Those two?
Those two, yeah. Explain those two for me, will you?
Oh, boy. That's quite a sight, isn't it? Maple leaf flag. Now, you heard Al Hackner say to Rick Lang, and he moved his hand back and forth. He said he was going to play him tight. And you see he's tightened up the ice. He doesn't mind if Rick Lang clips that guard off. He doesn't want to miss both of them. But if he wants to hit one of them, even the front one is good.
Hurry!
They're yelling a hurry. Now, this is where it'll start to bend. They're yelling hurry.
I know he's going to wreck on that stone out.
He doesn't want to wreck too much on it. He's going to drive it into the rings. No, just across the corner. Very close to pushing the United States in for 2.
So the U.S. with the shot stone untouched at the back of the 8-foot. The other stone in the rings in the 12 belonging to Canada. Tim Wright and the American champions attempting to steal here on this 8th end. They trail by a score of 6-4. The winner of this game will play Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden in tomorrow's championship game.
Well, they're 2 down, Don. They have to protect that one in the 4-foot. They planned the whole end to steal one. Now they have an opportunity to steal one, so they have to guard it. But, boy, they're going to have this rock is going to pull at the end. It's not going to be much of a guard. It is going to pull off. It's going to be open for Canada to get at the rock in the back of the 4-foot. An easier shot this time for Rick Lang than his first one. And once again, you see Hackner just tapping the back of the ice there, back of the house. He said, that's what kind of weight I want, Rick, right to there. and I'm going to broom you. I'm going to give you enough ice. If you throw the proper weight, you'll make contact if you throw that weight. Broom's in the same spot.
Lang and Pat Perreault have had their percentages drop over the past couple of ends. Perreault at 73%, Rick Lang curling at 74%. But fortunately, the skip Al Hackner still moving along at 94%. This one has to bend.
He's throwing a little bit more weight. Should start to come over now. He wants to roll it in the open. He doesn't want to leave it there to let the United States hit roll behind it. Good shot by Rick Lang. Well executed.
Now we could play hit and roll here. I think that's the way to go. Just a hack weight. Just have to tap it through a little cross.
Tim Wright certainly doesn't waste any time in making a decision.
Well,
he's looking at 2 Canadian stones, and very quickly he indicated to his third, John Jahant, what he wanted to do, and he's attempting to roll in behind that yellow stone sitting out front.
Yeah.
Watch where Jay Jahant puts. John puts the brush on. It's about the same ice.
Somewhere they got to go, because remember, just inside the line of the...
What kind of a turn would you put on that rock?
Quick and they're moving. Toss in the face.
He's got about the same ice that Rick Lang had. So if he throws the right shot, he should get the inside roll. If he throws the right weight. Very close to that line, let me tell you. Let that one go.
Well, in the other semifinal between Denmark and Sweden, the Danes had a rock removed because of a hog line violation.
They better stay on it, or it's going to roll to the open. Oh, a misjudged sweeping. They should have been on that all the way, Don, because he was full on it. If they had swept it, it would have curled a little bit. They would have got the inside roll. But the sweepers dropped off it, and look where it rolled to.
Remember he threw that hard one there? He threw that real hard one that ran dead straight.
He did.
Yes.
Out there, though.
Yeah. Quiet pass. I don't think I have to overthrow this. Shouldn't move. Shouldn't move.
You don't want to be out here and it stays right there. You miss it. What do you want? Here?
Well, Lang and Hackner, you heard them discussing the ice on this takeout attempt by Hackner here on end number 8. Canada leading by a score of 6-4.
You heard Al Hackner say that if I throw good weight, I shouldn't miss it. But Rick Lang says, well, you throw big weight at it, Al, it's liable to stay right there and you're liable to miss it. So this is a weight shot.
And that's one thing that Rick Lang does so very well is judge sweeping.
Oh, he very seldom makes a mistake. And that's where experience comes in. Wow! You heard Rick yell, whoa, right away, and that's what he was afraid of. He is out there. It is a long, now it's starting to come across. Is he going to hang around? No, he's going to roll away. And out of play.
So Al Hackner removes the U.S. stone, but loses his shooter in the process. Canada lies 1. 2 rocks still to be delivered here on end number 8. U.S. looking to steal.
And an opportunity for Tim Wright to put this rock in behind the guard.
We're making shots with no
Missing shots.
missing shots.
It's missed a lot for him now, too.
Yes.
Making shots and missing shots. But Al, some of the shots you have made, the ones that curling fans in Canada certainly remember, particularly that dramatic double on the 10th end of the Brier in Moncton against Pat Ryan of Edmonton.
Well, that was a big shot for Canada, because if he hit and stayed right there, this shot that Tim Wright is throwing now is ever so important, because it's different trying to bury one when they're lying 2.
And let it work.
As compared to lying 1 in the back of the 12-foot. You see him, he said, get a lot of line, a lot of room. This is where it'll start curling from the hog line in. He's got a beautiful looking shot. Nicely by the guard. Now they should maybe sweep it. Take it a little bit deeper. He is about half buried down.
And Hackner is going to take a look at it from outside the hog line. Good shot by Tim Wright, the American skip.
players in mine tend to get moving earlier than Ian's anyway.
You heard Al Hackner saying about Ian's shot. He is remembering when Ian had a shot down there that was in generally the same area, a little more to the left. And he's just referring to the weight that Ian was throwing for a rock just a little to the left of that. But
well, it's so important when the skip and the third are discussing a shot that they're on the same wavelength. And Rick Lang and Al Hackner have been together for a number of years, and they communicate very well, almost with very little discussion. They know where that broom should go.
But the nice thing about it for Ian Tetley and Pat Perot, Don, they'll watch Al Hackner let this rock go. They know where Rick Lang's holding the broom, just off the center line. And they'll watch where Al Hackner lets this rock go. If it's on the outside of the center line, they know he's fairly well on the broom. It's just a question of weight. And they jumped on it right away. He might have rolled this one. It is starting to curl on him. They are pushing it hard. He is by the guard. He's got a great shot. Beautiful execution.
Well, the Iceman has held the hot hand here at Kalvin Hall in this semifinal of the Air Canada Silver Broom. With 2 on end 8, Canada leads 8-4. That's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard.
9 o'clock in Vancouver.
8. O'Brien, you won't be up quite as early as the folks in Vancouver, who will be rising to watch the championship game at 8 tomorrow morning. And it looks very much as though Al Hackner is going to be in that championship battle against Stefan Hasselborg of Sweden. Canada now leading the United States 8-4, playing N9. And Hackner will now be attempting to keep things clean.
Well, he's got pretty good control of the game. He's 4 up playing the 9th end. And I don't think I've ever seen Al Hackner lose a game 4 up. He's lost them 2 up, but never 4 up.
Well, it makes it pretty tough for the opposition when the skip is curling 93%, such as Al Hackner is.
Well, you know, they say that there's usually 2 ends in a curling game that cost you the win or the loss. And I think if you go back to the 3rd end, where that wide in-turn takeout by Tim Wright cost him, I don't think that was the right shot to play. And again in the 4th end. So those are the 2 ends I think that really did the American team in. They've given it a good try, but against Al Hackner, you cannot afford to make those kind of mistakes.
Pat Perot removes that American stone. And skip Tim Wright calls for another center guard. Well, I think among some of the supporters here at Kalvin Hall, there was concern earlier in the week when Hackner lost back-to-back games as to whether or not he would be playing in this semifinal. But as Al said, late in the week, he began to put it all together. And now we see a number of Canadian flags increasing in size and number with each stone that has been delivered here at Kalvin Hall.
Well, early in this end, the United States have 2 corner guards up, so there's a good chance they could score 2 this end to get back in the game. Of course, for Canada, they'll be peeling everything off. They won't be too upset even if the Americans score 2 in this end, because they'll be 2 up coming home with last rock. And that's a pretty comfortable position to be in. Tetley with a semi-flat-footed tuck delivery of his, but throwing big weight here, and he's very close to a miss. He has missed it. And a little bit too much weight for Ian Tetley. A lack of concentration there, and I think he knows it. He is not happy at all.
I think Al Hackner, with that look from the other end, indicated to Tetley that he threw far too much weight, certainly more than Hackner wanted.
I tell you, nothing makes a skip matter when you put down the broom.
Well, the show of support for the Americans. Not
a round of applause.
As great in numbers as for Canada, but the fans respond as the Stars and Stripes are paraded around the playing surface here at Kalvin Hall.
No, Don, I started to say nothing makes a skip matter when you put the broom down. Your lead or second have been throwing the same takeout weight to take off the guards through the whole game, so you put the broom down because you know they're going to throw the same weight, and all of a sudden they fired overhead and they missed. Nothing frustrates a skip more.
Well, Hackner has to be careful here on this ninth end. There are 3 rocks up front. He did not want that, and he could get himself into some trouble very quickly.
I'll tell you what, Tetley will be guiding this one down there. He won't be throwing the big weights, taking a little bit off it. He's trying to touch it on the outside. There is a chance he could get a double here, or very close to it, a triple. Well, he's moved him around a bit, made contact with one of them, spread him out a little bit more.
2 stones out front now, one belonging to the U.S., the other to Canada. Canada leads 8-4. And number 9 coming your way on CBC Sports Weekend, the championship game tomorrow. Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden against either Canada or the U.S. It looks as though it will be Al Hackner of Thunder Bay, the 1982 world champion.
And a good call here by Tim Wright. He knows he has to score more than one, so he's got 2 corner guards up. He's going to draw around him. He has to get something started, and they have to pull it by the guard. It's very close. Is he by? Oh, a great shot. Now is he going to make the ring? Yes, he does. A good shot by Jim Wilson.
As we take another look at this delivery by Jim Wilson with some solid brushing, they just get it past that corner guard, and the U.S. lies 1.
Russell Armstrong just put a lot of pressure on that brush, as did John J. Hunt, and they got that rock by. The sweeping did it. And you see Al Hackner. Now it's up to his nose, so that means that Rick Lang is going to throw a little bit more weight than Ian Tetley was playing the previous end for a rock that was in the house. And there it goes. Trying to clip it out of there or take the guard. One or the other they'll be happy with.
Oh, what a great shot by Rick Lang. That's all he could see of that U.S. rock.
That's all he needs to see.
He flipped it out of there.
That's all he needs to see. Look at this. Big weight. Good sweeping by the front end. Good call by Al Hackner. And once again, now it's Ian Tetley's turn to jump in the air because he just squeaked by the guard.
John J. Hunt, the 25-year-old U.S. third, again attempting to get in behind that corner guard, but he appears to be a little on the warm side.
They haven't laid a brush to it, Don. It's still well by the guard. They got to hope it digs in.
I got it.
Now they should take it a little bit deeper. Is it going to hang around the back? Yes, it does. And well protected. That's a pretty good shot. Because now it forces Al Hackner to decide whether he's going to clip off that front. That's exactly what he's going to do, and the proper call. He doesn't mind, as I said earlier, that the United States scores 2 here. He doesn't want to be fooling around and drawing down to it, then maybe the United States hitting and rolling behind to be lying 2. He doesn't mind giving up 2, but he certainly doesn't want to give up 3, and that's why he's calling this shot.
Whoa!
A little bit fortunate there. Look at Rick. Little smirk on it. Now he's laughing. He knows he missed the shot, but a little bit fortunate for Canada there.
Well, I know what you're showing. I don't think.
Look at here, he's trying to peel off the front one. They don't know whether to sweep it or not to sweep it, just to touch the guard, but he just squeaks by it, ball goes through, and takes the American rock out.
Well, Hackner was yelling, whoa, Lang was yelling, sweep.
That's why I was calling the yeah. I could see exactly the same amount as the first time.
That's communication. Now, for John J. Hunt, he's going to have to put it in there a little bit better. He's a long way out there. He is well by the front guard. They haven't laid a brush to it, Don. He's throwing dead 4-foot weight. He's not giving his sweepers a chance to work that rock.
He won't hide this one as he did to his previous shot. The United States lies one, but it's wide open for Al Hackner.
Right there, eh?
Well, there's an old theory that you have to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky. And on that previous shot by Rick Lang, he was both.
And for Al Hackner, complete control of this game now. The most the United States can score is 3. He'd still be one up coming home, but a fairly simple shot here for him. He just doesn't want to overthrow it. And look at him concentrate. Every shot. Good trunk lift. Good swing of the rock. Directly in behind it. Look at this release. Fingertip control.
Right on.
Still following it. He's still a long way out there. Now it's starting to come across.
Yep.
Nice little roll right into the center.
Canada lies one. 3 stones still to be played here on the 9th end. 8-4. Al Hackner and his Canadian champions from Thunder Bay.
They were safer with the
Tim
draw.
Wright of Wilmette,
They were
Illinois.
safer with the draw. Yeah. Down 2.
This is a good call by Tim Wright. You know, he could have maybe gambled and hit that rock and try to roll behind the corner guard on the right-hand side. But if he didn't play it perfectly, hit and rolled out, then Hackner would go around. He's trying to consolidate getting his 2 points here by playing the freeze. He'd like to come up to it, maybe move it back a fraction of an inch, and make Hackner make a good shot to pick it out of there. So this is a good call by Tim Wright. Now he's having second thoughts. And we talked earlier in the 3rd end, he changed his mind down at this end. Is he going to change his mind here?
Let's go around the corner. All right.
He's decided, Don, to go around the corner guard. It's a pretty good shot, but he better make sure he puts it in there. And he's going to go with the intern, it looks to me.
Well, he has to gamble. He has to try and get 2.
Well, he knows he has to get 2. He can't afford to score 1 here and be 3 down coming home without last rock. He doesn't have much hope, but he has to score 2. 2, he's got a slim chance of winning this game.
He's got good-looking line if he can get it past that corner guard. But he's going to rub it.
Now they're trying to roll it behind the other corner guard. And he rolls for second shot, but it's fairly wide open for Al Hackner. The reason they didn't sweep that, Don, is because it looked like he was a little bit heavy. He might have gone through the rings. So they decided to lift up their brushes and maybe get the rub on the guard and try to roll in behind the corner guard on the other side.
Statistically, Hackner with the draw has not missed a shot. His only misses have been on hits. One a partial hit. That was back on the 6th end when he had a chance for 3. But since the 3rd end, Hackner has been in control of this game.
Well, that's his type of game. He plays a control type of game. He gets up and he's very difficult to catch.
get a roll in behind cover. Well, the gloves could be coming off unless Tim Wright can hit and stay on that shot stone at the back of the button.
You know, that's pretty good curling, but it's always easier to get the hits and rolls when you're 4 up as opposed to being 4 down. You're throwing them a little bit looser. And this is not an easy shot for Tim Wright. And as you said, Don, if he misses this one, the gloves will come off. And even if he makes it, Al Hackner is going to be 3 up coming home with last rock, and not a very good position for the young Tim Wright team from the U.S.
Is this one going to bend enough? Is he going to get any of that shot stone?
Starting to come over now, but is it going to come over enough? He's going to catch a corner, but he's going to roll away. Canada's going to steal another point, and I think this game is over.
It is indeed. As Tim Wright is unable to save his shooter here on the 9th end, Canada steals a single point, and it will go into the books as a 9-4 victory for Al Hackner of Thunder Bay over Tim Wright of the United States, and that will move Canada into tomorrow's championship game against Stefan Hasselborg of Sweden. So it's Canada versus Sweden for the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom, hanging over center ice the Air Canada pennant that twice has been inscribed with the name of Don Duguid in 1970 and 71. Al Hackner's name appears on that pennant for his victory in Garmisch in 1982. And Hackner will be trying to make it a second world title here in Glasgow in 1985. So tomorrow, Canada plays Sweden for the World Curling Championship. And you'll see it all on CBC Sports Weekend beginning at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Just what you predicted, Mr. Duguid, at the start of the week.
Well, I know that the Sweden team is a very strong team, Don, but I'm really impressed with the way Al Hackner played this game. This is the best game he's played throughout this competition. From start to finish, he was strong, and for Sweden to win, they're going to have to play their very best game.
So Canada with a 9-4 victory over the United States in the semifinal here at Kalvin Hall in Glasgow to advance to tomorrow's championship game. Huey, what's happening? Are we getting Hackner? Is he down? Al, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Good game, Al.
Thank you.
Don Whitman along with Don Duguid back at Kalvin Hall in Glasgow, and standing by down at ice level, the skip of the Canadian rink, Al Hackner. Al, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Al, over the years, I've seen you make some spectacular shots and win some games brilliantly, but I don't think I've seen you curl many better games from start to finish than you did tonight.
Yeah, I got it going early. I just, seeing right from the opening rock, I made the good draw to the outside edge and forced him into a difficult hit. And we managed to steal the point, and I think you just carried it from there. I think once you start out good and you make a good shot at the first end, you just carry that confidence into the rest of the ends.
Would you say, Al, that this was the best game that the teams played as a whole throughout the week?
Yeah, I think so. In other games, we always had one end or a couple ends where we'd mess up and give the other team a chance, whereas this game, basically only the two real bad misses. The one with Rick missed the hit there in the fifth end, and then when I missed that chance for the 300 in the sixth.
The fifth man in the rink can come in handy, and I think Bruce Kennedy made a rather valuable contribution earlier in the week as to how the ice was reacting.
Yeah, he's you know, it helps when you got a fellow that with his experience and his knowledge of arena ice and how the rocks are running. We have kept good track of everything, and I was there to tell us when he felt that we could have done better in a situation. So he's been a big asset.
Tell us about the Hasselborg rink from Sweden, whom you play tomorrow for the championship.
Well, in the round-robin game we played them, they got up 4-0. We made a few mistakes with the Corn Brooms. We let a couple of rocks get away on us, and it cost us that 4-point lead, and they seemed to play well after that. Tomorrow we're just going to have to come out and play equally as strong as we played today, and we're just going to have to handle that corn a little better.
Al Hackner, congratulations and good luck in the championship game tomorrow.
Thank you.
And that championship game at 11 o'clock on CBC Sports Weekend, Eastern Standard Time, Canada and Sweden.
Crazy they don't go. Tell me how long you've got at the end. I'll give you a card at the end. Throw it to the front.
Okay.
Okay, Huey.
How will I see you?
Oh, good. Well, he looks strong today. Looks strong.
Don Whitman along with Don Duguid back at the Kalvin Hall in Glasgow, and Don Duguid, great performance by Al Hackner.
Well, I think it's one of their finer games throughout the week, Don. We've said that earlier. They played very strong, and there's one thing about Al Hackner. When he gets down close, he can smell it, you know, and he's going to be very difficult in the final.
You know, in Moncton at the Briar, he had some problems. He saved his best performances for the semifinal and the final. It looks like he's doing much the same thing here in Glasgow.
Well, he is, but I'll tell you, he has to be careful of Hasselborg from Sweden. They love to play a wide-open game, and if they get one or two up, they are difficult to catch. So I would think for Al Hackner tomorrow, if he's going to win his second World Championship, he's going to have to throw up a lot of corner guards, keep the pressure on the Swedes. If he does that, he can create the pressure and make the Swedes miss. So that's the key for Al Hackner. He's got to put a lot of corner guards up, make the Swedes make a lot of pressure shots.
It's interesting that Hackner made the comment about the corn broom, because he had problems with the corn earlier in the week. You think the Canadians might bring out the corn brooms themselves tomorrow?
No, I don't think so. They're too good a team to worry about corn brooms. I think maybe it's just a matter of concentration. If you keep your front end in the game and say, look, they're using a lot of corn, make sure the path is clean, do your job, I'll make my shot, you make your shots, we'll be the world champions.
What does the corn do to the ice?
Well, Don, if it's a new broom, there's little bits of corn on the bottom of them, and as you're sweeping them, they break off, and they scatter over the ice. And after a while, your rock goes over it, they kind of splinter, so there's a lot of debris on the ice. It'll make a rock curl a lot more and make the ice a lot more swingier. But I think if that happens, that's better for Hackner than it is for the Swedes.
So do you think Hackner can come through tomorrow with the same type of performance that he did this evening?
Well, I think if anybody deserves to win 2 world championships, it's Al Hackner, because he's a dedicated curler. He throws the rock superbly, as does Rick Wang, who compliments him all the time. I think he can win this thing. I think he can win it big. I don't think there's anything stopping him. If he gets down early in the game, nothing seems to bother him, and that's his key to success.
So it's Canada and Sweden tomorrow for the 1985 World Curling Championship here in Glasgow. Hackner and his Canadian champions from Thunder Bay. Impressive in a 9-4 victory over the United States here in the semifinal of the Air Canada Silver Broom. I think you would have to say that overall, the Canadians' best performance of the week.
Well, there's no question about it. I thought the game in the round robin against Norway, they came on strong. They simply overpowered the United States today, but let me tell you, they have to be very careful of the Swedish team. Swedish team likes to play it very simple, very wide open. And if Al Hackner is going to win tomorrow, he's going to have to throw up a lot of corner guards, go in around him, and make the Swedes make tough shots, and that's the way he'll beat them.
So it's Canada's Al Hackner against Stefan Hasselberg of Sweden tomorrow for the 1985 world title. That's the story on the semifinal, Brian, and we'll have that championship game tomorrow at 11 Eastern Time.
Trying to Huey with his face helmet on.
Yeah, with his hair all over his face. He's holding it.
I wasn't sure what those Okay, thank you.